There you go. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Happy Wednesday to you. Let's get our heads right today. I'm Woodsy. To my right is Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
To my left is Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning.
How's it going?
It's good. I feel a little distracted. I don't know why.
I think, yeah. He read us like a 15-minute email and then just was commenting on something on TV. I said, oh, man, it's going to be one of those days. You want to try some Adderall? Help get you locked in.
Ooh. What was that?
You want to try some Adderall? Doctor prescribed.
Not for me.
It's Farmers Insurance
true.
Open Day, isn't it?
It's Farmers Insurance.
That's true.
Open Day. Now, 3 hours, though. There's plenty of time.
It's still the day. I mean,
It's still the day. He gets very excited. It's like when he goes on vacation, and I'm like, you know what? When you have a vacation, you don't have to come to work because he's gonzo right now. He's gonzo. What happened? Stay up too late? Are you blinking? You're blinking. Now I know you didn't sleep. That's what happened to me. It's a true story.
You got me. I went back to explicit.
I drove all the way there. Oh, funny story. Sitting here this morning, I got in for me a little late. It was like 5.
oh
and
my God.
I'm doing some work and getting things ready, and I hear Woodsy, and I'm like, what? And I turn around, and it's Paulie in the little foyer right there, and he waves me out, and I'm like, what the hell?
Get out here!
I'm like, did you forget your card? But you couldn't have because you got through the first door. So I walk up, and he points at his ear like, listen, freaking, hey there, Delilah. On the speaker
Like
here.
the internal speakers that go throughout the entire building.
And I said, Paulie,
The second I got off the elevator, I heard, "Hey there, Delilah." I'm like,
I said,
what is happening?
I said, have you ever heard that in here? He goes, never
Not
once.
once.
Not one time.
the song's 20 years old.
I said, that is the universe speaking to us. If you missed what we're talking about, we did take Ben to his first gentleman's establishment last week. We could go today. Yeah, changed his life forever. Changed his life forever. Met a nice young lady named Delilah, very sweet, and
Hey there, Delilah.
and that was that. That was that. So it's been all downhill basically since then, since that happened. We had yesterday after the show, we were hanging out in the prod studio, the production studio, and our beloved sweet angel Sammy Levitt popped in, and we were talking to Sammy for a while and chopping it up. He's going to be heading out to spring training soon. You guys remember spring training? Sammy, dude, is out there from minute 1 until the very end.
They report the day of the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday.
So he's heading out like that weekend.
Yeah, he'll be out there.
And while we may not be out there for a couple weeks until the end of February, Sammy will be out there and he's going to be on this show
Every day.
every single morning,
I
starting the Monday after the Super Bowl.
I love spring training, Sammy. I love it. Not only does it kill a segment, it burns some clock for us, but I love Sammy Levitt. Like, I love talking to Sammy Levitt. And Sammy came in and we were shooting the breeze. And then Adam comes in and brings Sammy a piece of mail. And I go, oh, boy, Sammy, uh-oh. And it's addressed to him here at the station. And I go, oh, boy, watch out, Sammy. You might be somebody's butthole like I got from a Dodger fan. If you missed the Christmas and holiday extravaganza, I've been getting hate mail from a Dodger fan. And it's the gnarliest, most disgusting things you've ever seen. The worst smack talk you've ever seen.
I was going to say, it's the worst insult
yeah,
ever.
to themselves. They just insulted himself. But there's like the most disgusting lady part that you've ever seen with arrows pointing to it, like Dodgers. And then there's a toilet bowl full of doo-doo, Padres. I said, I'd rather be the toilet bowl than that first thing. I mean, you saw it. It was repugnant. Delilah would never. So we were sitting in there, and I said, well, open it up, Sammy. Make sure there's no powder in there or anything like that. You got to be careful. And he opened it up. It was some sweet kid. Sammy, I'm a big fan of yours. I sent you a picture. Could you please sign it and send it back to me? He got an autograph request. So I ask you not, man. I walk in here this morning, and this is sitting. A piece of mail on my area. And I went, oh, God. Oh, no.
Here we go.
I told Sammy yesterday, I go, we get different types of fan mail, Sammy. You get the sweet little wannabe broadcasters that want an autograph, and I get, buttholes and stuff. So I said, oh, God. So I sat here, and I opened it, and I felt inside there was like, it was kind of firm. something in there. I go,
More of a firm filling.
more of a firm filling in the envelope, which I know you like. So, so I open it up. It says, Steven, Dallas is my grandson. He and your son played on the same Buffalo's flag football team. I heard your segment on Monday regarding not being able to coach and watch the games on Friday. I was there taking pictures of Dallas. I got a couple of your son. I know it's hard to miss some of these moments. Here's the photos. Enjoy. From George Hepner. P.S. Your son is all athlete. And George sent me these beautiful pictures of Bo in action out on the field, running the ball, throwing the ball. Look at that kid. Look at that kid. All heart right there.
Action shots.
Action shots.
So good.
Slinging one. And George, I cannot thank you enough. It was very touching, and I was very moved when I got that this morning. So I really, really appreciate the effort to do that, to send it in, to look up the address and all that. And it was just really kind. So thank you very much.
That's a lot of effort nowadays.
It's a ton of effort,
I mean,
man. You can't just text me over a picture.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort to find an email address and upload a photo, much less find an address, put a stamp on, print it all out,
Develop these
put
pictures.
them in the mail.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a lot of effort that he went to just to make sure that you got included in the game last week. That's really cool.
Oh,
That's
man,
a much better class of mail than what you had been getting.
Then the butthole mail, yes.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So, George, thank you for that.
I was just thinking about Sammy because last year I started feeling sorry for Sammy. Just by the end of spring training, he had been there, I think, 6 weeks. And having just been to Arizona, a few days is enough. I mean, once you've been there for a week or two, it's like, okay, I'm ready to leave.
You get the full experience after 72 hours.
But this year, because of the Korea trip, it's only really a month. It's a shorter spring training jaunt. I think it should be more doable. The finish line is a lot closer. They leave for Korea on March 13th, I think it is. So there's really going to be no reason to stick around beyond that. So Sammy should be home within a month of going out there, which is probably a lot nicer for him.
Yeah, you can if you can shave 2 weeks off of your trip to Peoria, you're in good spirits after that.
Our boy upgraded his digs when he's going to be out there.
Yeah, he did. He was in
a not great.
He was in a not great spot last year. Got an Airbnb, which is such the move. It's so much more affordable. You feel like you can be a normal human again. When we were at fantasy camp every year and we were staying in the Hampton Inn, I'd be in my room. Paulie would be in his.
It was fine.
It's fine. It's fine. But that's. Hey, you want to work on the show tomorrow? Do you want to, maybe hit a little bit and work on the show? No, he's not coming to my room at the Hampton Inn to kick up on my bed. What do you want to do in the 6? No, at the house, we could all hang out together. Now, I did pass out at 5:30.
You didn't have the 3-room suite at the Hampton with the living area?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. So Sammy was smart this year. Probably going to save the company money, too, by staying in an Airbnb. I think he's got a little bit longer of a drive, but hey, as you know, Sammy, expense that mileage. They have no problem with it whatsoever. So I'm still waiting for my expense report to be approved again. I sent them the this is why that happened, and we'll see what happens with that dramatic scene yesterday. I saw a lot of cleanup going on in San Diego yesterday. I got a DM from. Have you guys ever heard of Tonight in San Diego? You ever heard of that show? So. I was a guest on that show many, many, many years ago, and it's like a variety show, and it's like Letterman, right? But it's a little smaller level. I hosted it one time at the desk, the pen.
Who's
Letterman.
the regular host?
So back then it was Jesse Egan, who's a comedian. I don't know who does it now, but those guys at Tonight in San Diego, they sent me over the video. Their entire studio, Ben, and I'm talking tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment gone, wiped out. Motherboards, cameras, everything flooded. They've lost everything. So I'm looking to I shared it on the Ben and Woods Instagram. I'm looking to get more information on how I can help those guys. To know a lot of those guys that work over there, to know how much effort they put into it, it is devastating, just devastating. And I know, some people came through unscathed, but so many people did not and lost a lot of stuff. So we're going to continue to try to share things. And if you feel compelled to help and donate, if you have old gear, No, they were asking for like cords and microphones, maybe. How many of you out there, let's be honest, how many of you out there started a podcast and said, I'm not doing this anymore, and you got stuff to spare? These guys could probably make it work, man. They're really good people. So the more information I get, but you can go to Tonight in San Diego on Instagram. Check out the devastation. It's awful.
You know,
It's
I was
awful.
reading yesterday, and usually when we get a storm like that, it's overhyped. Remember the hurricane that was coming, and
Oh, yeah.
it turned out not to be that big of a deal after it passed through. We got some rain, but it wasn't.
We were warned for about a week
Oh, like
before that
a week.
happened.
And
I just looked at my phone a few days ago and saw, we're going to get some rain on
rain,
Monday.
yeah. And I was going, what the heck happened? Why didn't we get storm of the century hype for like a week in advance?
Let
Like
people
this is
get
going to be
sandbags and
huge. And I was reading about it, and it was kind of fascinating. So apparently the trackers, they kind of expected the storm to move more to the south into Baja California. We were supposed to get more of the edge, so we weren't going to get as much rain, but it ended up staying more north, and as it hit like San Clemente Island, it caused the clouds to kind of compact, and then that just started the rain gushing. So they really weren't ever forecasting the amount of rain that we ended up getting, and it caught a lot of people off guard.
It did, man.
They can't track storms as well out at sea as they do over land because they don't have as many of the the tracking stations out over the oceans. So the reaction was a little bit late, and I felt like that's why we didn't get quite the warning that we usually do when a storm is coming. It's almost always the other way. We're warned it's going to be terrible. It really wasn't that bad. You got us all worked up for nothing. And this time,
But you take that
where
every
was it?
time. You take
Yeah,
that.
of course.
You take that
Well,
every single time.
And my point is, we usually complain about it. Oh, I wish they'd stop hyping up these weather events that turn out to be nothing. It's so much better when you get it that way than this way, when you're not really expecting it, and no one was talking about sandbags or hey, you should probably pull everything up off the floor in your garage because there could be flooding. We didn't get that kind of warning because it caught some of the weather services off guard, and now you see what kind of damage and devastation is wrought by just an extra 3 or 4 inches of rain that we're not used to around here.
Yeah, and again, we're a community, and we want to help as much as we can. We do have this platform, so if you know somebody in need, if you know somebody that needs something, please let us know. We will do our very best to help them or to get the word out, whatever we can do to use this. That's what we're here for, to serve the community. That's really it at the end of the day, to inform, educate, entertain, and serve San Diego to the best of our ability. So if you know of anything, you can shoot me a DM. You can DM us on Ben & Woods, Instagram, whatever. Happy to help in any way we can. Keep your head up out there. I guess more of this stuff could be potentially coming in the next month or so. So good time to prepare, move those valuables up, do whatever you have to do to make sure it doesn't happen again.
We got an interesting show today. Some sports, some not sports. For those of you who can handle it, we'll set the menu for the program when we come back.
Those people will be able to handle it. You know why? Because it's a local story.
It is local.
It's a very local story.
I'm very excited about it.
It is unbelievable.
We'll tell you all about it coming up. It is Ben & Woods. Glad to have you with us. Middle of the week. We've gotten to Wednesday. Let's see how the traffic's looking early here with Kelly, and then we'll be right back with Ben & Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 3 new members of the National Baseball Hall of Fame announced yesterday. We will get into the elections of Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer. Talk about those guys that narrowly missed coming up here in our first hour or so of the program. Also, Aztecs last night at Viejas Arena had a kind of a dogfight on their hands against Wyoming, especially in the first half. They did pull away, ended up winning 81-65. Good to see Padres manager Mike Shildt making an appearance at Viejas Arena, sitting courtside for the game last night, making himself a presence in the community of San Diego, which is not required by any stretch of the imagination, Woods, to be an effective Major League Baseball manager. But nevertheless, I find it appealing to see him there and supporting, other teams in town during his offseason.
We all do. That's a thing. That's a thing it makes absolutely. It has zero importance, none whatsoever, to X's and O's,
couldn't care less.
W's and L's, the whole bit. But there's something in it when you look at it. It's like you get that first bite of birthday cake. You're like, it feels good. It tastes good. It melts in my mouth. That's what you feel when you see your skipper right there in his pink
sweater,
pink hoodie, and watching the game. You go, okay, now we're talking. Now people like to see it. It's a political move, and it's a brilliant one.
It's funny. We've seen Joe Musgrove do the I Believe chant, and he's been in support of it, Aztecs games as well. And I liked that. But can you appreciate those things and not be mad at the guys who aren't here in the offseason, players, coaches? I don't think Bob Melvin ever went. Didn't have a problem with that at all. It's absolutely fine. I don't expect that out of any of them. When it's not the season, it's not their time. Maybe they're not into college basketball and they don't want to go to the game. It's perfectly fine if they're not there. Yet I did appreciate seeing Mike Shildt at the game last night and just making himself a presence in the community of San Diego. It's good. I think it's a good thing for a manager.
It's always a good thing. It's not going to have any bearing on the season. It's not going to have any bearing on, no one's going to go, well, I'm going to give him a pass. He did go to that Aztecs game and I did see him here. Like Austin Hedges came to a Seals game. Didn't make me like him anymore. Trust me.
Here you go. Tim Hill. There was no single player more involved in the community.
100%.
He was at every single event. I believe he lives here during the offseason.
How'd that work out for him?
And they showed him the door.
Happened.
It ultimately comes down to the field. What do you do when you're out there?
But it was nice to see him. I will agree with you 100%.
Got some interesting stories, and Don't Do This, Take on Woods, of course, coming up in our 7 o'clock hour. But I think we're all excited about 7:35 this morning. Actually, no, 8:35 this morning.
Yep.
When we plan on returning to a Wednesday feature we haven't done in quite some time, and we're going to take a jump into Woodsy's Wednesday rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're going over to Coronado Island, Ben, for one of the more
technically a peninsula,
right?
But
yeah. We're going over to Coronado, and we're going to talk about something that happened many, many years ago. That is,
I had never heard of this story,
and that's the thing. So it was over the Christmas break. As I took a break from being berated on Twitter, I got down in a rabbit hole about this series of events that happened on Coronado in the late 60s and 70s, Ben. And I texted it to you guys. I said, Ben, have you ever heard of this? You go, no. I said, you've never heard of this? You said, I had no idea it existed. And it is one of the more riveting stories you will ever hear about our town. I mean, it is just bananas. What went down over there years ago. So very excited about that as well.
I wonder, if my dad or our grandparents had heard about this story because they grew up, obviously, here in San Diego. Did it make big news at the time? It seems like it would have been national headlines.
It made 60 Minutes, man. They did a whole feature on 60 Minutes. It's riveting stuff.
And maybe some of our Tier 1s out there will be familiar with it. My guess is that most, though, if I wasn't, my guess is that most will not have heard this story.
It's a good one.
About what was going on in Coronado back in the 60s and 70s. And really throughout California, but the birthplace was in Coronado. Sleepy little surf town. Coronado back then. Home of Manny Machado.
That's right.
Don Orsillo now.
Jake Cronenworth, I believe, lives on Coronado. Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm
It's really
definitely looking forward to a trip down the Woodsy Wednesday rabbit hole coming up at 8:35. Ryle Report, we've got more tickets to give away to the Doobie Brothers. We've been giving away all week for their concert coming up in June at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. So
You just call them the Doobies, though. That's
the
what
Doobies.
you called them yesterday.
Where I was at Channel 10. It was Monday, and Veronica, our floor director, said, I never really thought about it, but do you think that's a marijuana reference? Doobies, Doobie Brothers, because we used to call, joints doobies back in the day. And I said, well, I mean,
Rolling.
none of them are named Doobie. It's not like the
Right.
Allman Brothers,
Right.
whose last name is Allman.
Yeah, Greg
or-
Allman. Right. Right.
None of them were named
Jim Doobie.
Doobie,
Yeah.
so it's probably a reference to something else.
It's a reference to marijuana cigarettes.
It's not
man.
even like Mike Duberfield,
Right.
and he goes by Doobie.
Mike Duberfield. Hey, Doobie. Duberfield.
Here comes Doobie.
Oh, that's my buddy Doobie. He's coming out.
Ben said yesterday, he goes, yeah, like, wasn't that really frowned upon back then? And I go, well, yeah, but they're a rock and roll band. That was like the whole point of being in a rock and roll, is to be edgy, Like, we're the Doobie Brothers. We love doobies. Like, if a band came out today and they called themselves the Doobie Brothers, I'd laugh at them because it's just not, it's not what it was, right? So, but like, yeah, I mean, back then, I'm sure there were parents
Ladies
that were
and
like,
gentlemen, we're the Edibles.
yeah, exactly. I think back then your mom walks in and what's this? Oh, it's the Doobie Brothers. She grabs it, she throws it out in the garbage immediately. I think if that happens, but I do. Yes. Who asked you that, Veronica?
Yeah.
I do think, Veronica, it is a marijuana reference. I'm almost certain that it is a marijuana reference.
Probably some good music to listen to while enjoying.
Yeah, exactly. Much
A
like
doobie.
Tim Flannery and Jake Peavy. Very good music to listen to while enjoying.
Padres were connected, rumored to be connected to at least one pitching name. I don't know if it's one that's going to get anybody excited out there, but we can discuss that as well as we're searching for off-season Padres news another day without a big announcement of any sort from the San Diego Padres. So that's what's coming up on the menu today. When we come back, let's talk Hall of Fame. Had the induction votes revealed yesterday. 3 new Hall of Famers. Pretty solid, big class here for 2024. Yeah. Talking about Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer, all headed to Cooperstown. That is coming up next. It's Ben and Woods. Don't go away. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Chris B in our YouTube chat says, I had a dog that we got from the pound that was named Doobie when we got her, but my mom changed her name to Cookie when we adopted her.
You can also eat cookies with marijuana in them, as I recently learned.
Woods' Wednesday rabbit hole also is going to involve a little bit of the Doobie as well, I believe.
My favorite part of the story of Vanessa, what's her last name? La Paz?
Vanessa...
From your
He doesn't know.
Veronica.
Veronica, I'm sorry.
Veronica Simonides.
Okay, Simonides. My favorite part is she's at work and she's like, I need to ask someone here about doobies. Let me think. Ben, do you know if this is a drug reference? Are you like the edgy one
Apparently.
at Channel 10?
Yeah. You know what?
Kimberly
it is
Hunt,
very
no.
different there
Steve
than it
Smith,
is here.
No. Ben Higgins, yeah.
Yeah. You're the edgy one.
I think just because I'm on the radio with you, it makes
You're
me actually
the
the
rebel?
and the
Wow.
wild one.
You're
at
the
Channel
wild
10.
one at
Yeah.
Channel 10.
Edgy by association.
Yeah, edge by association. That's exactly right. Well, you're welcome for a reputation, finally, Benjamin. So, yeah, that's interesting to me.
All right, let's check traffic. I want to talk about yesterday's Hall of Fame elections. I don't think there's going to be any outrage from this threesome this morning this threesome.
There's always outrage.
Oh, well, but none of it's
A
going to come from
threesome
you
would be
or
fun.
me or Paulie.
Yeah.
About any of the electees.
I'm not too outraged at all.
A little bit.
No,
Todd Helton,
I'm not.
just a tiny bit.
No,
Not really.
I
No.
think Todd Helton was a guaranteed Hall of Famer.
Well, yeah, you think he was guaranteed a Hall of Famer. That doesn't mean you think he's a Hall of Famer.
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
All right, we'll get to that after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by San Diego Imperial Valley high-intensity drug trafficking areas. Starting to heat up on the roads a bit. Crash involving a motorcycle northbound 5 before Mile of Cars Way. Everything is in the center divide. And in the North County, a collision southbound 15 right around Felicita. That's got the fast lane blocked. Did you know fentanyl is being sold on social media disguised to look like prescription medications? If it doesn't come from a doctor or pharmacist, then it likely contains fentanyl. Talk to your kids today before it's too late. Get the conversation started at thetimeisnow.sd.org. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Let's start with the congratulations. Adrian Beltre, 21 years, 477 home runs, over 3,000 career hits. So you get to 3,000 hits. I mean, it seems like you're a slam dunk Hall of Famer. There were still almost 5% of the electorate that didn't vote for him on the first ballot, but he got in comfortably as everybody expected. I will admit, and I watched a lot of the start of Adrian Beltre's career, played his first 7 seasons with the LA Dodgers in the NL West, coming up as a young prospect for LA. And as I was watching, I didn't think, ooh, I'm seeing a Hall of Fame career get started here for Adrian Beltre. He's a solid member of that team, but not someone that I was like, oh, I got to get to the game tonight. I'm going to get to see Adrian Beltre play.
But when he got to Texas, you started to go, oh, okay, he's a force. Like he's got a ridiculous glove.
I was in Seattle still when he went there after the Dodgers.
Yep.
He played like 5 or 6 seasons up there, and he was a freaking stud. He was like what we have with Manny Machado now in San Diego. That guy could pick anything at third base.
Yeah, he was nasty.
Fair or not, though, had he only played 15 seasons and only had 2,500 hits and 380 home runs, he might not have been a Hall of Famer. But at some point, just the art of sticking around and longevity and putting up numbers year after year makes you worthy of the Hall of Fame. Whether or not you agree with that, policy or not, that's the way it is. And he stuck around long enough, and he was
a
certainly
286 hitter, over 3,100 hits, 477 home runs, 4-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger. That's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He never won a World Series, correct? Because Dodgers, Mariners, Rangers.
He was with the Red Sox. I don't know if they won.
Did they get
he
one
never-
when he was there? Never did.
He never won a World Series.
But again, it's baseball, and you can't make your Hall of Fame decisions based on what the other 4 or 5 guys on your roster did.
I mean, Mike Trout, a Hall of Famer? Yeah.
Whether you had a pitching staff
Right.
or not, it just makes no difference. Now, Joe Mauer, who also got on the first ballot by a much smaller margin, very different sort of player, a much shorter career, burned brighter, though, while he was in his prime as a catcher for the Minnesota Twins. And he benefited, of course, from the fact that he played what most people consider to be the toughest position on the diamond, and did so while also being the best hitter in the American League for a few seasons.
He batted 306 in his 50. He still had a 15-year career, Joe Mauer did. Batted 306 in his career behind the dish. I know he played some first base later in his career as well, but he was a stud too. And he was kind of the one where I went, I think he may get in. I don't know that he'll get in now, but he did, and I have less than zero problem with Joe Mauer being a Hall of Famer. I did think when he was coming up, he was one of those guys, really one of the first guys I remember being really hyped. Like people really, really hyping him. And, pretty much, man, barring some injury riddled seasons, that dude lived up to the hype every single year with the Minnesota Twins. Hometown kid, too. Great story. Yeah, no problem with him being in there.
One thing I laugh at is when people say, yeah, I thought he was a Hall of Famer, but I didn't necessarily think he was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I just said that because I thought, well, it's not my opinion.
Right.
It's the way that it works. I thought, yeah, he'll probably get in, but I don't think it'll be on the first time.
And that's how it works.
If you think he's a fourth ballot Hall of Famer, then he's a Hall of Famer. It shouldn't matter.
But it does. And for the people who go, oh, that guy only got 8% of the vote, he was better than that. He should have gotten more than that. Well, you're making a decision on yes or no. If you think a guy is just short of being a Hall of Fame, he had an incredible career, but you just have him just a tick below the Hall of Fame. You know how many votes you would give him? 0. You give that guy 0 votes for the Hall of Fame. And a guy who's just a little bit better, he gets all of your votes for the Hall of Fame. It's a yes or no. It's black or white. There really isn't a maybe on that box. You can't go, you know what? I give him 48% of my Hall of Fame vote this year. I think he was close. I don't know who was there. It's yes or no. So to me, the vote totals are a little silly and irrelevant. He got in. No problem with Joe Mauer getting. I also don't have a problem with guys who didn't vote for him. If it was my Hall of Fame, my standards would be really, really high. And it'd be a much smaller Hall of Fame. But that's just the way I am.
It would be just Delilah in the Hall of Fame. That would be the only person in the Hall of Fame.
Tony Gwynn and Delilah.
Yeah, Delilah, that's it. I loved this quote from Todd Helton. Because you do see it. You're already seeing it in the chat. Like, hey, very, very, very good player. Coors Merchant, all that stuff. Here's a quote from Todd. He says, look, you don't get to pick where you play. I never thought about this, by the way. You don't get to pick where you play. You always want to hit better at your home park. Carried a career OPS of 1,048 at home and 855 on the road. He said, I'm not embarrassed or anything by my home and road numbers. Going on the road after hitting in Colorado is hard. The ball breaks more. It's a huge adjustment going throughout the season. Going through that rigorous grind of being able to make those changes midseason, it's a good place to hit. But there's some drawbacks and toughness about going and playing there. I never thought of the other way. You only think about the guys that play, 81 games in Colorado. And you go, you lucky bastards. The ball's flying out of there. If you've ever played golf in Arizona or Colorado, the ball just flies. You're like, I could shave 3 to 4 strokes off my game playing here. But what you don't think about is when you have to go from Colorado to San Diego on your next trip. And you're like, oh, my God, now I got to sit on, now the curveballs are actually breaking. The sliders are actually sliding. Difficult to make that adjustment. So,
yeah, it's a good point. And Todd Helton got in on a 6th ballot. He slowly kind of crept up to the 75% necessary to get there. But I know that when I was watching him play, as a Padres fan, he always terrified me.
100%.
Terrified me as a batter, and not just in Colorado.
And maybe this will help sway some of the naysayers out there. Todd Helton yesterday talking about, one of our the most beloved Padre there's ever been.
Hey, Todd, big compliment here. Tony Gwynn told me this guy's a Hall of Famer in your 2nd season. He knew it was coming. He just loved you and loved watching and competing against you. It was amazing. Just want to dip that in there for you.
Yep. I appreciate it. Tony gave me the best advice hitting that I ever had, and it was something that I used that game in every at bat the rest of my career. And so he didn't have to. He came over and sat me down and talked to me like Tony Gwynn does. And I was drafted by the Padres out of high school, so I was a Tony Gwynn fan. And
what'd he tell you?
Yeah, I tell you what he told me. He said, Todd, where do you look at when you're looking at the pitcher to see the ball? And I gave the stock answer. I picture a place right up where the ball's going to come out. He's like, Todd, you can't do that. He's like, your eyes wander too much if you're doing that. He said, you got to pick a specific spot on the pitcher, and then when he's about to release the ball, you just move your eyes over just a hair, and it works.
And now you're a Hall of Famer.
Really good.
Hey, maybe you give that advice. I don't know. Like, let's not coach guys up in the middle of Manny's like, hey, no, you got to get your butt down when you field the ball. Like, let their coaches figure it out, T. Gwynn. But no, that's who he was. He loved to talk hitting.
It's interesting. And I've heard Tony Gwynn interviewed so many times in his career. I don't know if I ever heard that specific piece of hitting advice from Tony.
Be trying it this weekend,
who was
to be honest with you.
known for his incredible ability to see the ball. See the seams, the spin, everything out of a pitcher's hand, unlike almost anybody else. And he said, no, you've got to pick a specific spot on the pitcher, and then at the last second when he
Shift your
releases,
eyes.
then you shift your eye, because if you're kind of focusing on a nebulous area, your eyes will never get locked in. So he kept his eyes locked in the entire time on one specific spot, and then it went to the baseball right as the pitcher was releasing. Certainly worked for Tony Gwynn, and apparently it worked well for Todd Helton.
He tried it that night. He's just like, all right, I'll give it a whirl. And, next thing you know, he's in the Hall of Fame. So no problem there with Todd Helton getting in either. Monster hitter, great defender as well. I thought it was a foregone conclusion.
Speaking of Manny, we also have some audio of Manny Machado talking about fellow third baseman Adrian Beltre, also on MLB Network.
Manny, the first time that you saw Adrian Beltre, that you guys were on the same field, I remember as kids, we would always talk about Adrian Beltre. But for you, when you were on that field, what did that mean to you?
I mean, first off, I want to congratulate Beltre. What a amazing career. Obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer. I know myself, a bunch of players around the league always admire him, look up to him. He's the player that we all wanted to be. So, it was truly a blessing to play alongside him, play with him in the Dominican Republic national team, watch him play and learn from him as well. So now seeing him in the Hall of Fame is it's amazing. I love every bit of it. Another Dominican to the Hall of Fame. So mucha bendición, hermano. Felicidades. And what an amazing career he had. But yeah, I mean, he's like I just said, I mean, he's an unbelievable player. He's a talent. For myself, I looked up to him. I was a shortstop growing up, came out through the minor leagues as a shortstop, didn't know anything about their base. So what did I do? I mean, first thing I did was go watch Adrian Beltre highlights. And, from his sick backhand plays to his slow rollers coming up, getting down on one knee, falling down to the ground, making those throws, just trying to imitate as best as you can to try to do the Beltre. And obviously that cannon he had as an arm was one of the best in the game, or if not the best ever. So, he was just a guy that we always looked up to. Great leader, great guy, and obviously one of the best people to play this game.
Manny Machado on new Hall of Famer Adrian Beltre. This is not a knock on Adrian Beltre, but I've always looked at Manny as a superior player, just following along in his career.
Yep.
And I'd assume that Manny will end up in the Hall of Fame someday as well. There were some pieces written in the past week about Manny's numbers and how he's pretty much, on track. As long as he keeps going, he should get there fairly comfortably. But kind of comparing year for year and player for player over the course of, Manny's about 10, 11 years into his career now. I would say he's even on a higher track than Adrian Beltre was at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And, if he stays healthy, sky's the limit, Ben. First ballot for sure for our beloved Manny Machado. Also, Gary Sheffield was one that I was really, 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 really bummed to see. Did not make it. The story of baseball, can't tell it without Chef. You just can't. And I understand, I don't understand the logic and the reasoning, but the way the logic and the reasoning has worked with Cooperstown lately is if there was really, honestly, no, that's a lie. I was going to say, right. Typically what it's been is, there were some whispers about you being on PED, so we can't put you in. But that's just not the case anymore. Pudge Rodriguez, David Ortiz. I mean, all these guys were linked to
Like Piazza.
performance-enhancing drugs. Gary Sheffield was linked to the Balco investigation. Nothing ever happened. I mean, I didn't find out anything, but the whispers and things like that. I love what Chef said last week. He said, I was a Hall of Famer the day I was born. Like, he's a Hall of Fame. Gary Sheffield is a 100% Hall of Famer. He should be in. No, and he doesn't have a chance except for what, the writers? This was his last year.
Special
exemption.
The modern era committee when they do
Was
that.
that
but
like 10 years down the road?
But those guys have been pretty strict about, things like that as well. And there's no guarantee that he'll get in that way either.
But that's his only chance.
That's his only chance.
Yeah, he's no longer on the ballot. That was his last year on the ballot.
You got to put him in, man.
As a player, I know if you asked me about those 4 players while I was watching them play,
yes,
and you asked which one of those 4 is a Hall of Famer,
yes.
Gary Sheffield would have been a fairly easy answer, actually, 100%. For me out of those 4.
I think if, like, what you just said about the committee and how strict they've been in the past, your only hope is that, A, things change as far as the general voting goes for the Hall of Fame with guys like Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, and we start to say, you know what, those guys are Hall of Famers, and that special committee also changes. That's his only chance.
Yeah, that's true. The composition of it will change, and it's much smaller, so you only have to, I think it's like 12 out of the 16, if they agree, you go into the Hall of Fame. So 3 players is actually...
I hope we evolve as a baseball community in the next however many years.
Three players in 1 year is actually a large class by Baseball Hall of Fame standards. I think there's only been a class of 4 once or twice. Next year, though, they're saying we could see a class of 5 with Billy Wagner at 73.6%, just missing the cut.
Man.
Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltran are also kind of on the rise, and with more votes available, they could possibly get in at some point. And then the newcomers next year, Ichiro is going to be a slam dunk. First ballot Hall of Famer. In fact,
should be unanimous.
I wonder if he'll join Mariano Rivera as the only unanimous selections in baseball history. Because I can't see anyone not voting for Ichiro.
Some edgelord will not. Some edgelord voted for Brandon Phillips.
Yeah, but Ichiro kind of satisfies the most hardcore baseball guys.
You'd think so.
I mean, Derek Jeter wasn't unanimous.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. was like 99.3.
Now that the seal's been broken with
Mariano,
Mariano, though, maybe it allows other guys. I just didn't want him to be the first to get every single vote. Someone's already gotten it. Now you can...
Stupidest thing.
CC Sabathia should be a Hall of Famer.
I think so,
too,
man.
He could get in on the first ballot as well.
I think so, too. I did see, though, for the first time in a while, no one sent in a blank ballot. So maybe we are on the road to not being clowns anymore and voting the guys in that deserve to be in. Jim Leland also going in this year, Ben, along with Beltray Helton and Joe Mauer. Obviously, well-deserved. Anybody that rips that many heaters should be in the Hall of Fame and is still kicking. So
Uncle Chen, the marathon runner, should also be in the Hall of Fame.
100%. Well, the running Hall of Fame, yeah, first ballot. But I look forward to, this is the part of the process I don't really look forward to. I love the speeches, man. Every year I'm just posted up looking at the speeches, watching these grown men weep, sitting amongst all the other legends up there. It's so cool.
So I told you yesterday, as we previewed the Aztecs game, Wyoming will have some sort of trick up their sleeve.
You were right.
To try to take on the Aztecs. And for one half, they had fans of Viejas Arena worried. Get into that and play a little Take on Woods coming up. Hour number 2 of Ben and Woods next here on 97.3 The Fan.
I'm very sorry to hear that news that we just heard in the break there.
It's not
Ben.
news.
Well, the story that Ben
news.
just told us. Paulie and I are both suffering from some stiff and sore backs.
The after effects of fantasy camp.
And just being old and out of shape, and you put all those together and you got a little tweak and just not feeling up to snuff. And I said, we were playing golf together on Friday as a show. And I said, Paulie, you're going to have to smear Ben Gay on my back. And Ben said, oh, this is one of my nicknames from elementary school. And I said, excuse me? And
not a nickname. It was a taunt.
A taunt.
It was clearly a bullying taunt. But I'd have to imagine that most kids named Ben in the early 1980s.
They called you that?
Had that, absolutely.
I'm so sorry, man.
Nowadays, there'd probably be an inquisition at the school.
Oh, you'd be done
and
for.
parents would be called in.
Which is absolutely
meetings
right.
with counselors and what have you. But back then, it was just, you had to accept it. That just about everyone had
some sort of homophobic humiliating name.
Nickname.
Ben goes, that's why I was an icy hot guy.
Nice. And so Paulie goes, when you see it now, are you triggered? And what did you say?
I'm not really a liniment guy myself.
I don't like liniment.
Like if you were 12 years old and you were in pain and the school nurse said, here, take some of this.
Absolutely
this will
not.
help. You're like, I can't.
Absolutely not.
Kind of burns.
It burns like
not
crazy.
Really a big fan of that feeling.
Liniment. Liniments and things. Never. Because you have
the icy hots of the world, yeah.
You never done icy hot
No.
either? Never.
Oh, God, it's
This
good.
dude is afraid to put anything
I am.
in his body and on his body.
My body is obviously a temple.
Your body is literally the only temple I know. This man gets messed up off Advil. Ugh, I feel those Advil kicking in. If I smeared Ben Gay on your back, I don't think you'd make it.
Exactly.
It does. It burns. Well, I'm sorry about that.
I think we got to do the icy hot show now.
The icy hot show. Yes.
Well, after Jake Peavy's legendary story of the nuclear version of that, I
Just put it on your arm.
don't want to.
But I want to. Sorry they called you that, Ben.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It makes me sad.
You know what? I bet some of those kids are out there listening today.
They probably are. You heathens, dude.
It's fine. You know what? And it didn't scar me for life.
Chris said, another layer to the Ben Onion. I said, you are right, man. You are right again.
So what did we say yesterday about the Aztecs? Wyoming, their coach Jeff Linder always going to have some sort of trick up their sleeve to try to, level the playing field against a team that is clearly a superior in the Mountain West.
Correct.
The Aztecs just have more talent. They're deeper. They've got better players, and they should win most of these games. But Wyoming will do, kind of crazy things to see if they can upset the apple cart. And yesterday's strategy, especially in the first half, was we are going to pack it in and double Jaden Ledee and guard everything in the paint. And basically, we're going to let the Aztecs shoot open three-pointers.
Yeah.
At least, 3 or 4 of the guys. Maybe not Waters, but we'll let the other guys who are so-so three-point shooters take their chances. And if they hit their shots, we're dead.
Yes.
But if they miss them,
we're in it.
We're in this game. And after a hot start.
Well, I mean, you got to think, if you're an opposing coach, what works in your favor most likely? Letting a team just go off from three-point range, or give Jaden Ledee open high percentage
looks.
shots. You don't want to do that in the paint, so that's absolutely the right call. The book is out on
It
how to
worked.
at least run with the Aztecs.
It worked.
And if the Aztecs had been shooting, lights out last night, they would have won by 40. But instead, I think they missed 10 in a row, 14 of 15 in the first half at one point on mostly wide open three-pointers. And Wyoming's a good shooting team. So they took advantage. They had a 5-point lead both in the first half and the second half. A game that you thought the Aztecs were going to cruise turned out to be one that was very stressful for the fans last night at Viejas Arena. Ultimately, though, the Aztecs are just so much better defensively. They won the turnover battle 15-2.
Bro, at one point I texted you, and because it was 6 o'clock, right around bedtime, so I've got the game on, and I'm putting the kids down, and they're coming back in, and I'm watching the game, Benny, and I looked at the graphic on the screen, and it was Wyoming 10 turnovers, San Diego State 0. Wyoming leading by 1. And I text you, I go, what the hell just happened? They're playing, clean basketball. And you said, yeah, they're just letting the Aztecs fire up threes, and they're not making them.
And Ledee, while he ended up with 17 points in the end, wasn't his best game of the season. It was, though, Lamont Butler had a terrific game,
Monster
tied a
game.
career high with 23 points. And I thought Darion Trammell was huge. He had another big basket right at the first half buzzer to give the Aztecs a 2-point lead, and then he was kind of that second half shooting spark, made a 3, had a great drive, basket and 1 that extended the lead to double digits, and eventually the Aztecs were able to pull away for an 81-65 win. Concerns, they were out-rebounded 39-29. It kind of comes and goes. Sometimes the Aztecs look like a pretty good rebounding team, and other days they just get their hats handed to them on the boards. That happens against an NCAA tournament team. In March, you're going to have a short stay in the tournament. So that's something that you've got to be concerned about if you're an Aztecs fan, if you're Brian Dutcher. The good news now is Aztecs get a week off. They don't play until next Tuesday. Big game at number 24, Colorado State. Right now, the Aztecs, I think, are a half game out of first place in the Mountain West, and they need to come up with a road win. So they've got an entire week to get healthy, to get rested, to get a game plan in, and go in and steal one of these games. And it's always tough, especially at altitude. But this one, to me, is one you get circled on the calendar. It's the start of a stretch. We talked about it yesterday. 5 ranked opponents in their next 7 games. You want to start that with a win so you're kind of on a good footing going into the tough part of their season. So I've got this game circled on the calendar as a key one for the Aztecs. If they want to get to the top of the conference, maybe a 1 seed in the Mountain West tournament, and increase their bracketology line in March, this would be a quad 1 win on the road against a ranked team that's in the top, I think, 30, 35 of the net rankings. Big one next Tuesday, and some time to get ready for it. So,
it was. I would classify that as a fairly bad beat last night. They had
gambling wise.
Yeah, gambling wise, it was fairly bad. I had it at 17.
I stayed away.
I know,
from
smart
Yeah,
move.
the spread, I think, started at 15.5 and
Yeah.
eventually went all the way up to 17.5 some places.
Yeah, and they had a. I want to say they were up 18. There was a foul.
They got up to 18 at
Yeah.
one point. That was the biggest lead they were able to get to.
4 or 5 minutes remaining.
When he got that board with about 27 seconds left, I'm like, just take it down and shoot it. Just take it down and shoot it. Why not? Why not get one more shot in? And,
if they hadn't dribbled out the clock, if they had gone and just had a garbage time basket,
I'm in the money.
You would have won.
Oh well.
But
I got to stay away from games with that big of a point spread because it can be chaos at
but
the end.
I was watching at the beginning, and I go, that's gone. That money's gone.
Like,
but listen,
San Diego State's not winning by 35.
Right.
And 16.5, you're like, dude, all it takes is somebody on either team. Let's say San Diego State
chucking
is
one up, man.
18 and, whatever. Somebody comes in, doesn't get a lot of minutes on the season. It's a blowout.
He's
this
gonna
kid's
get
like, oh, well, it's my time to shine.
Here's
and
my
he's just
moments.
gonna, let it rain. Yeah. And if one of those falls through, you can be completely screwed.
Need a contestant here for Take on Woods. In fact, call right now because we're going to play in like a minute. 833-288-0973. Musical trivia. Try to qualify for a getaway to Las Vegas and concert tickets, but you got to call now. 833-288-0973. I mentioned yesterday that any spread around 17, 18 in college basketball, it's so tough because even if you're covering, you may put in the walk-ons at the end of the game and the other team may go on a run. Or if you're betting the other way and, you've got a team that you're betting to stay within 17 and they're within 10 like the whole game, and then all of a sudden you get fouls at the end of the game and some garbage time and a walk-on comes on and hits a 3 because he doesn't get to shoot it all, and then you lose the other way. So, college basketball is always a tough bet in my mind.
Very. NBA's no better. Basketball in general is really
anything
tough.
over like a 10-point spread, man, it's dicey.
The NFL playoffs and Super Bowl are available free from Westwood One and live here on 97.3 The Fan and on the Odyssey app. This Sunday at noon, it's the AFC Championship game with the Ravens hosting the Chiefs, followed at 3:30 by the 49ers hosting the Lions in the NFC Championship, all right here on 97.3 The Fan, or simply download the Odyssey app and search for 97.3 The Fan at kickoff.
Both games Sunday, right?
Both games Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, doubleheader starting at noon here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, we got a contestant on the line. It is time for the Wednesday edition of Take on Woods. And we say good morning to John. Hello, John. How are you?
Good morning, fellas.
Morning. Let me remind everybody, Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Of course, you are playing for the chance to qualify for our grand prize monthly getaway to Las Vegas, the Westgate, Las Vegas Resort and Casino, and tickets to Tom Kiefer and LA Guns on April 11th at the International Theater. Tickets available now at Ticketmaster.com. All right, here are your category choices, John. You got Open and Shut Up. Those are song titles that either include the word open or the phrase shut up. Fade to Black. Each answer ends in the word black, song titles and musical artists. And our new category, Spanish 101. 5 hit songs in the United States that all feature Spanish titles. So, Open and Shut Up, Fade to Black, or Spanish 101, John. What'll it be?
Fade to Black.
Fade to Black. All right, today we are looking for 5 song titles or musical artists / bands with names that end in the word black. 60 seconds. You got 5 questions. Answer as many as possible. You can pass if you want to come back to it at the end, and there's time. We will get there. First question is our 2-second song. Paul, you're going to play you some music. You got to give me the title of the song and the artist, one of them ending in black, to score that point, and then we'll go on from there. John, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. The category is Fade to Black. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, John. Let's take on Woods.
Oh my God, I can't think of this right now. Pass.
AC/DC wrote which hit single in 1980 title track is a tribute to the band's late singer, Bon Scott?
Yeah. Oh my God. Pass.
Which country music star produced 4 straight Billboard #1 singles from his 1989 debut album, Killin' Time?
Black. Pass.
Will Smith's debut solo single was also the title track to which movie he starred in with Tommy Lee Jones?
Men in Black.
Correct. Which rapper with a photographic name recorded hits including No Flockin' and Tunnel Vision, but also has faced a series of legal problems over the past decade?
Kodak Black.
Correct. Go back to our 2-second song.
Rolling Stones, Paint It Black.
Correct. AC/DC wrote which hit single in 1980 title track is a tribute to the band's late singer, Bon Scott?
Back in Black.
Correct. Which country music star produced 4 straight Billboard #1 singles from his 1989 debut? Oh, we ran out of time. John got onto a roll there at the end, ended up with a score of 4. The only one he didn't get was Clint Black on that last question there. Got the rest of them, though. Paint It Black, Back in Black, Men in Black, and Kodak Black.
Here's where you're at if you're John. You know Woods is not getting Kodak Black.
I think not either. So I think you're in good shape. We'll see. And Woods doesn't get the
I don't
category.
like that.
We'll
He's
see.
in good shape. Oh, no.
Bring your A game.
All right.
Putting the pressure on Woods. 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on John.
Paint It Black, Rolling Stones.
Correct. AC/DC wrote which hit single in 1980 title track is a tribute to the band's late singer, Bon Scott?
Back in Black?
Correct. Which country music star produced 4 straight Billboard #1 singles from his 1989 debut album, Killin' Time?
Clint Black.
Correct. Will Smith's debut solo single was also the title track to which movie he starred in with Tommy Lee Jones?
Men in Black.
Correct. Which rapper with a photographic name recorded hits including No Flockin'?
Kodak Black.
Oh, he did know it! He did know it, and he wins
Well
it 5
done.
to 4. We weren't sure if you'd be able to get Kodak Black or not. You knew that one, though.
I did.
John, good playing. 4 is not enough today, though, as Woods, with the perfect score, defends his honor and the trip to Las Vegas today. Did you know it, or did the photographic name help you a little bit?
Photographic helped me 99%. Yeah.
It's good. Like, sometimes a good question has a clue
Has a good clue.
inside
You're
the question.
Listen, if you're fishing for compliments, I'll give you one. You write great questions, all right? You're a great moderator, and you write great questions. There's no question about it.
All right, John, feel free to try again. You were very close. He rallied. He, passed, and then kind of got on a roll and came back through them, but didn't quite have enough time to get all the way to the end. So good job, Woodsy. We will come back, and we'll get to Don't Do This. Have a number of stories. There was a very odd report that ran last night on TNT's Inside the NBA, their big show, involving a head coach hiring that didn't actually happen last night.
and a firing that no one really knows why.
Yeah,
So
a
it's
weird story.
very weird story.
We'll get to that coming up next. Let's check traffic and be right back with more Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. All right, let's get right to it. I will start us out. Don't do this today. Trying to figure out what the heck is going on in Milwaukee with the Bucks. All right, remember the story started at the end of last season when the Bucks fired their championship-winning coach Mike Budenholzer.
There's like a few don't do this
after
in this one story.
A first-round playoff exit. Hey, it's their right. They want to make a change. Yeah, he just won a title a couple years ago, but I guess they didn't like the direction of the organization. So they were really excited when they hired Adrian Griffin as their new coach this season. Replaced Budenholzer. They acquired Dame Lillard to go with Giannis. They got this super team. And they're playing really well. 30-13, near the top of the league. Yeah, there's some defensive questions, but no reason to panic. They're in a great position to do everything they want to do and bring home another championship to Milwaukee, which led to a lot of stunned NBA fans yesterday when the Bucks fired coach Adrian Griffin with that 30-13 record. But our Don't Do This story is only just beginning. Speculation immediately centered around who is going to take over permanently for Griffin. Joe Prunty is the assistant who's going to be the interim head coach until they name a new head coach. And rumors started circulating quickly out of ESPN that their new NBA analyst, Doc Rivers, who is doing TV for their top games on ESPN and ABC, is a leading candidate and in discussions. And you're not surprised that ESPN would have that report. He works there.
He works there, yeah.
You're probably going to hear some whispers in the building if you're Woj or Woj or some of the other top insiders for NBA. But then all of a sudden, later in the evening, you're watching the NBA on TNT, Ernie and Shaq and Charles and Kenny, the whole crew, and they run with a report from CNN Sports that it's done deal. The Milwaukee Bucks are hiring Doc Rivers as their new head coach. Here's the problem. CNN Sports hasn't actually reported anything on the air or put out a tweet or a story. Now,
Who even is with CNN Sports?
As it turns out, so here I was watching a thread from a guy from the New York Times named Sopan Deb. He's a big NBA fan. And he kind of broke it down really well. He said, what TNT is asking the public to believe. CNN breaks a big sports story but doesn't write anything on it because of what? The New Hampshire primary and not even a single tweet from any CNN social media account. They're so busy covering the votes in New Hampshire that not one person can even send out a tweet with this major news that they're breaking. A scoop so good and exclusive that their own top insider, Chris Hayes, who's been reporting on this all day, has not been able to confirm it himself. So their top NBA guy doesn't know that it's true, but some unnamed person at CNN Sports has this and has given it to TNT. So they actually did publish a story about 1 a.m., reporting without a byline, without a reporter attributed to it, quoting one anonymous source saying, yes, Doc Rivers is going to be the new coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, but no one really knows it. Shams hasn't reported it. Woj hasn't reported it. None of the traditional insiders have this news. So no one's really treating it as a done deal, yet it was kind of circulating. It was on TNT yesterday, and now there's just a lot of confusion. Is he going to be the coach? Is he not going to be the coach? What is going on in Milwaukee?
Why was the guy fired? That's what I want to know. At 31, 30, and 13? It doesn't make any sense. Does anybody know?
Was there any statement from the Bucks at all?
No. I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything.
It's nuts. It's a crazy story. This was pretty crazy, too, staying in the NBA. Yesterday, I think it happened toward the end of our show. Tristan Thompson has been suspended 25 games for violating the NBA anti-drug program. And I went, oh, man, what was he on? Well, it was performance enhancing of that variety, Ben. Ibutamoren and SARM LGD 4033.
Yeah. SARM LGD 40733.
It works by stimulating the pituitary gland, telling it to increase the production of natural growth hormone within the body. With more growth hormone, it helps with muscle mass and improved exercise capacity and, of course, recovery. Now, he's 33 years old. Body's breaking down a little bit, decided to grab a little shortcut if he could, and got popped for it, Ben. So he's going to be suspended 25 games without pay for violating that anti-drug program. Now, Twitter is just unforgiving. and as it always is. But I saw this tweet: Tristan Thompson taking steroids for a 3.31 stat line is insane. And he doesn't play a lot. Plays about 5 minutes a game. So maybe he thought, well, they're not going to come after me because I barely play and barely do much when I'm in there. But they did, and they got him, and he is suspended, Benny, 25 games.
I'm amazed that they can catch anybody. If the science has gotten so advanced that people are taking something called SARM with a bunch of numbers after it, I mean, how many performance-enhancing drugs must now be out there that they've created? And you got to come up with a test that detects all of these things. There's just no way. Science is just too far advanced for any of these. I mean, I'm stunned that they would catch anyone at this point. All right, finally, a little DD Mega Doo-Doo today. Do this.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
And I want to shout out to our friend and former NIL-sponsored college golfer Steve Sugimoto, who, of course, has gone pro and has qualified to play on the Japan Tour this year. But that doesn't stop him from still trying to get on to the PGA Tour and play in PGA tournaments. They had the qualifier yesterday. One-day rain delayed for the Farmers Insurance Open up at Bear Creek in Temecula.
Now, explain what that even is for somebody that doesn't know.
So every regular PGA Tour event, most of the field is filled by, the guys the regular golfers on the PGA Tour, some sponsors, exemptions, but they always leave usually about 4 spots each week for anyone to qualify in a tournament. One round, and if you can shoot an insanely low score, you get to play in that tournament that week. You got
to pay a fee.
Yeah, you pay like $1,000 or something.
So
to
you
get
could
in.
have done it. I could have done it. Ben
Any of us could have signed up.
Yeah, anyone can sign up, and if you play really well, and usually the cost prevents most hacks from doing it, but if you make it, you get to play in the tournament alongside Xander Schauffele, and if you make the cut, you get the check, and if you win the tournament, your life has changed. You get the exemption like the kid in college did last week. So it's all there. Steve played really well yesterday. Shot 4 under. He was right there on the line for the top 4. Eventually, it ended up at 6 under the top 4. There was 2 guys at 7, 2 guys at 6, a couple at 5, and then Steve at 4. I texted him. I said, "Man, great playing. Congratulations." He said, I left a few shots out there on the course, but I now know I can play with these guys.
I texted him the same thing because in those qualifiers, our buddy Travis said, "Woodsy, in those qualifiers were 40 PGA wins." Okay?
Kevin Tway, Sang-Moon Bae. I mean, guys that you've seen on the PGA Tour are trying to get in there.
40 PGA wins, and our guy is there damn near close to the end. Look, no points for second place, essentially, but as far as a guy just getting his career off the ground, to know that I can go in there and hang with those guys, I texted him the same thing, Benny. I go, "Dude, you can do this. Like, you can." He goes, "I know." And I said, "Where'd you leave your shots?" He said, "I missed a couple of 6-footers and lipped out." And, those 3 go in, that dude's playing in the Farmers today.
Yeah.
If those go in. That close, man.
And guys will play and try for years and not qualify. Man, you got 80 great golfers and just a couple of spots every week, so it's so hard to get in as a Monday qualifier.
Very proud of him, man. Very proud.
One side note, because I was looking at the scores all day, and I went to the bottom of the standings. So finishing in last place with an 89, 17 over par. Shigetoshi Hasegawa. You remember Shigetoshi Hasegawa? Yes, the former reliever for the Angels and the Mariners. He's 55 years old now. He's a golfer, though.
Damn.
And has been trying eventually. He's been playing in some of these Monday qualifiers to see if he can get in one day. But, he did not come close to qualifying. But
haven't heard that name
name in a long time. And I go, I know that name, Shigetoshi Hasegawa.
Well,
he's the same guy.
It's pretty nuts that the lowest score out there is an 89, which I would punch somebody in the mouth.
The worst score,
yeah. The worst. Yeah, the
and
worst
score. He was 9 strokes worse than the second worst guy who shot an 80. And by the way, this is on a water-soaked course.
Yeah.
They're playing the tips. These are all such good golfers. Even the guys who aren't even like on the tour or on the Corn Ferry Tour or on the Japan Tour, they're still really good golfers out there.
Congrats, buddy.
Hey, I still think big things are ahead for Steve Sugimoto. And that's Don't and Do This for a Wednesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, the Padres, at least at least for a little while yesterday, were linked with a potential pitcher on the free agent market.
Well, there was an outfielder that went yesterday as well. That's a lot of rumors and whispers.
How are you guys doing?
I think we'll be okay.
You're okay?
I think we'll be okay.
I was thinking about you
Let's
guys.
get to some of those moves coming up next with Ben and Woods. Do not go away on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Go. There was a report yesterday.
Ginger guard?
Isn't that what they call him? Nickname?
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
He's not a ginger though.
Isn't that the nickname that he went with? Yeah.
I thought it was.
I thought he was Thor.
I thought he was Thor.
I've heard both.
You have?
Have you?
I have. Yeah. Did I make that up?
I've never heard.
I think he doesn't like it.
I
But-
can see that.
Do
yeah.
they usually call blonde? Like I don't call Bo, who's got long blonde hair, Ginger Bo, because he's got long blonde hair.
Oh no. Well, maybe was it someone else who was ginger guard then? It was the.
Mushrooms? It's Dustin May, maybe.
Was he? Oh, because he was teammates with him. That's why they called him that.
all right.
Now that makes sense. All right.
Too much Advil for our guy.
Apparently.
over here.
They rubbed icy hot.
So who? It was Robert Murray had that report. The Padres were linked with Noah Syndergaard, and then
it got rewritten, and they
took him
weren't in
out
there?
of the report.
It was like Pirates and Padres
interested in Syndergaard, and then later on it was like Pirates interested in Syndergaard.
These reports of teams that are interested.
I'll tell you.
The report was that Noah Syndergaard threw for like 15, 16 teams here in Southern California.
I'll tell you, nowhere in the world is more furious. They actually talked about it on MLB Network the other day. The Boston Red Sox and their new GM, Craig Breslow, who has essentially said, yes, we were in on him. Yes, we were in on him. We have shown strong interest. Somebody had at Fenway, Ben, they did a meme of a fake banner hanging over the Green Monster that said, we remain very interested in. I mean, they're just getting killed because they haven't really done much either. But a couple of moves at least yesterday to talk about. Baseball picking up just a hair.
I think it was Tom on Twitter made the great point. If the Dodgers couldn't get much out of him, and they're a team that tends to get a lot out of their pitchers, that's not a good sign for Noah Syndergaard. And last season he went 2-6 with a 6.50 ERA. I get the Padres are shopping for discounts and bargains
and innings eaters. But
yeah,
I don't know, man.
That's the type of pitcher I would expect them to be in on, like buy low. Hope that they can, find that old flame again.
Do you look at what Ben just said? Do you look at what happened with the Dodgers and go, well, if they're not doing it, we're not going to be able to do it? I mean, Ruben Niebla is a magician of sorts.
Absolutely. I think you look at that. We look at that with the Rays, too. A lot of times it's just money.
Yeah.
But they're one of the smartest organizations in baseball. And if they're giving up on a player, you got to at least question it.
Why they're doing it. And again, I know that the Dodgers certainly had better people to replace them. The Padres could really, really use an arm. I could talk myself into anything, certainly. There's no bad one-year deals, guys, okay? So if it's a one-year deal for $4 million...
$5 million bucks.
I mean, okay. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I don't know. Even if it's a one-year deal for $4 million, it feels like you're just flushing $4 million.
It
bucks
definitely
down the
does.
toilet for the most part.
It could. Yeah, you're not wrong.
But you need bodies.
You need arms, man. At this point,
We've said it every year. This team needs pitching.
You need to fill that arm barn with plenty of with guys down there and depth and all that. Now, I just don't know what he's got left in the tank.
Even in 2022, when we were feeling pretty good about the starting pitching staff, 1 through 5, even 1 through 6 and 7, it wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough. And by the way, I mean, since we started doing the show together, it's no secret that A.J. Preller has lusted after Noah Syndergaard. I mean, he was rumored in trades 6 years ago.
Yeah,
so
not the first time we've heard this.
Yeah, so the other one that went yesterday was Joey Gallo. Was another name that we constantly hear.
Let's talk about the signings from yesterday as well, and whether we feel bad that the Padres didn't get on either of the guys who signed yesterday. We'll do that after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by San Diego Imperial Valley high-intensity drug trafficking areas. Got a handful of problems this time around, guys. One is a stalled vehicle on the coastline southbound 5 past Manchester. It's in the center divide. Also a stall on the transition ramp westbound 78 at the northbound 5. Out of the South Bay northbound side of the 5. Just past E Street, a collision over to the right shoulder and an accident in the second lane from the left northbound 805 right before H Street. Want to mention a couple of closures, all due to flooding in Mission Valley. Mission Center Road remains closed both directions between Hazard Center Drive and Camino de la Reina. And you're going to find San Diego Mission Road closed between Fairmont Avenue and Rancho Mission Road, both directions. Drugs today are different. Fentanyl is often mixed into pills disguised to look like prescription medications. It's important to listen to your kids and what they know about drugs. Talk to your kids. Don't let time run out. Start the conversation. Go to thetimeisnowsd.org. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
At some point, we're going to just stop speculating that Joey Gallo could be a future Padre.
I'm fine
because we
with
do
that.
it every offseason, and he never ends up with the San Diego Padres. And once again,
make no mistake, though, I don't know that anybody on this crew actually wants Joey Gallo here.
I don't think that you'd be really excited about it. Now, he signed yesterday with the Washington Nationals, a one-year deal worth $5 million, which honestly seems like a lot considering the trajectory of his career. He was last an All-Star in 2021, but the last couple of seasons have been pretty awful. In 2022, 638 OPS. 2023, just a 741 OPS. He hit some home runs still, and
How
he'll
many
walk
bombs
some.
from last-
He had
last-
21 home runs, but hit
Last year?
177 with a 300 on-base percentage. So, yeah, he walks a lot, but when you hit 177, there's no amount of walks that can really get you to the level of being a valuable, everyday type contributing baseball player.
I mean, you throw 20 home runs on that number, okay, you look at that, but you're not getting him for $5 million. That's your Kyle Schwarber. You bat 186 with 44 bombs, and you're slugging the moon.
Wouldn't you rather have Trent Grisham
than Joey Gallo? Yeah.
I mean, Trent's got some power, maybe not Joey power, but he'll hit for about the same and better average with the same amount of walks and a way better defender. I mean, Joey's not a bad defender, but a way better valuable position out there in center field. And we've already known Padres have moved on from Trent Grisham. Why would they just go down that road for the same price or more with a Joey Gallo?
Look, I hate to be the glass half empty guy, but also, man, like, who's the last guy that's come here that we fixed into, hitting? Pitching is a whole different ball game. Pitchers like to pitch in Petco Park. I don't know that Petco Park is the place you come and play through the marine layer in the first few months of the season and say, yeah, this is where I'm going to get the old stick back on track. Who's the last guy that's come here? And it takes guys a while to get adjusted here. So I don't know that a reclamation project like a Joey Gallo, even for a paltry $5 million to a lot of teams, made a lot of sense here, other than the only way that it makes sense is we need guys. We need guys. We're trying to fill an adult team roster, and we need guys. And that's it. That's it. So I don't know who else he's got his glims on, but I think that I'm fine passing on Joey Gallo.
The one thing you can do with Joey Gallo that you can't do with Trent Grisham and some of the other outfielders is dream on the 41 homers he hit in 2017 and the 40 homers he hit in 2018 and the 38 he hit in 2021. He hasn't done that in a while, and the rest of the numbers have been consistently bad, but you can dream on it. You go, well, he did it. He did it a few years ago. Maybe he can do it again.
Find it again.
That's really the only selling point on Joey Gallo. But to me, that's more of you're just putting your hands together and going, oh, please, whatever that magic that we don't understand in baseball, that sometimes a guy figures it out again after he's lost it for a while. Could that happen to Joey Gallo? I mean, theoretically, it could.
Sure.
But there's no evidence to indicate that Joey Gallo is on an upward trajectory. It's simply been downward and pretty steeply the last couple of years.
Yeah. The other move made a couple other moves made yesterday. Rhys Hoskins going to the Brewers. I think it's a great fit for them. If Rhys Hoskins was a left-handed first baseman, I think he could be wearing Padres brown and gold. Ben, he was a right-hander. We have a very right-handed heavy lineup. And it's probably the $34 million too that had something to do with the Padres not being in on it. That's a price I thought was a little bit high for a guy coming off of major injury, but I think he's a good fit there.
It's not unexpected coming off the injury. The second year is an option. He can opt out after it's a 2-year deal, but essentially it's 1 year with an option because he can opt out if he wants to after the first year. So, it's one of those, if he plays well, it's probably a 1-year deal and he hits the free agent market again. If he doesn't, he's got a little extra security for that second year, and the Brewers are probably regretting that they signed him for the 2-year deal. I think this move is interesting in that you weren't sure what direction the Brewers were really going this offseason, considering, they let Craig Counsell go as manager. There's been rumors that, Corbin Burns could be traded at some point. They didn't even bring Brandon Woodruff back. I know he's hurt, but the idea of keeping around potentially into free agency a good pitcher like that, and you thought maybe Milwaukee's like going to go into some rebuilding. This is more of a sign like I think they can still win a division title if they keep Burns around in a National League Central that's not as competitive as some of the other divisions, that they feel like they're close enough that they're willing to invest something in that roster and in Rhys Hoskins. And if he has a good season, then, Milwaukee could probably be a playoff contender again in that division.
Yeah, they have holes too. They have a lot of holes in Milwaukee. Another recent addition, the Miami Marlins, finally on the board, but with a minor league deal to Trey Mancini. Ben, they have signed him.
So they still haven't spent $1 on a major league contract this offseason.
Yep. Marlins have agreed to a minor league contract with free agent first baseman outfielder Trey Mancini. He'll be in big league camp as a non-roster invitee this spring. He's technically still playing under the 2-year, $14 million deal he signed with the Cubs last offseason. So the Marlins only pay him the prorated league minimum for any time he spends on the active roster. So Marlins making some moves to improve their ball club.
And the Angels signed reliever Matt Moore to a $9 million contract. Now,
see my tweet last night?
Yeah.
I feel like he's my age.
I looked at it. He's 34.
When did he start playing professional ball? 14? Because I feel like he's been in the league for 25 years, man. I just get that feeling about it.
He was falling off the map, and then he got converted into a reliever and kind of had a decent – his numbers have actually been pretty good. So he was one of those guys. I was looking this up yesterday that the Angels waived at the trade deadline. Remember when like Hunter Renfroe and they got rid of everybody
they did.
just to save money and get under the salary cap? And he got claimed, but he was going to be a free agent anyway. Obviously, they thought highly of him because now they've brought him back on a raise, even though they waived him last year. It just shows that the Angels were simply playing financial games at the trade deadline last year and trying to get under the cap. It had no bearing on trying to be competitive or going after the playoffs last year, that they got rid of him because they brought him back on a $9 million deal. But he's only 34, Woods, so yeah, as long as you feel like he's been around.
It feels like he's been around. Yeah, he feels like he's been around forever. I feel like I watched him in the late 90s or something, man. It feels like he's been around forever.
The Angels have signed a few guys this offseason, but
they're doing the bullpen thing.
Yeah, they got Luis Garcia, former Padre. Had a good solid last month and a half of the year for the Padres. Second half of the season wasn't bad. It just, after losing Shohei Ohtani, and they signed Robert Stevenson to a 3-year, $33. He's a good reliever.
Reliever. So they're going that route, which, by the way, is now they don't have as many superstars in place as the San Diego Padres, but this has been the route essentially of the San Diego Padres too.
And it's not a bad strategy.
No.
A bullpen is a place where you can win some games on the fringes. It's just really hard to sell. Yeah, we lost Ohtani, but we bulked up our bullpen this offseason.
We got Matt Moore. What are you complaining about?
It's not something you can put on posters or send to season ticket members to get them excited about the year.
Think about this, though. You improve your bullpen and on fairly reasonable deals, right? 1-2 year deals.
Although the Stevenson deal is the second most expensive deal behind Hader this offseason for a reliever.
Exactly. So he's probably going to be there. But think about some of the other teams, like the Aroldis Chapman, $10.5 million, right? Does anybody expect Aroldis Chapman to be in a Pirates uniform on August 1st? No. The answer is no. Bob Nutting says, let's get him. I'll spend the $10.5 now. And
knowing it's really only $5.5 to $6 before we trade him, and some other team pays the rest of it, and we get a prospect out of it.
100%. We're going to get a prospect out of it. They're going to eat the money, and people are like, oh, they're doing something. They're playing the game. There's only 5-6 owners right now spending money in the game of baseball of any significance, which is not good for the league at all. It's kind of a joke, to be honest. So, listen, with all these moves right now, when you see a team really stocking up on its bullpen, Ben, and they're in a position where the Angels are or the Pirates are, you look at it and go, oh, yeah, you're signing these guys to move these guys, to try to improve your roster for the future. So that's the system. Everybody's playing it that way. I don't think the Padres are doing that. They have too much money long term to other players. They're going to really try to contend, but none of these holes that we've been complaining about have been filled at all. We said yesterday there are slots to fill. I need some slots filled. sooner than later.
So who are the outfielders that are still left?
Jurickson Profar is an outfielder.
Michael A. Taylor.
Michael Taylor
remains
is
out there as a defensive option. Cody Bellinger seems like he's out of the Padres' price range. Don't expect him to sign with the Padres this offseason. I mean, there's not a lot left out there, to be honest. I mean,
need a DH?
Trade market. You need a DH, possibly a first baseman. Has Jorge Soler signed yet? He has not signed yet. He's very right-handed though, and you need a lefty.
He's going to be expensive as well. Yeah, man, it's feeling just a touch dire, just a little bit dire right now.
And there may be
Tommy Pham's available.
There may be trade possibilities out there that we're not considering yet, but we're now just a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks away from the start of spring training, and it remains a very dire area of need for the San Diego Padres.
Yes.
All right, we'll come back in our 8 o'clock hour. We've got the Woodsy Wednesday rabbit hole coming up that everybody's excited about, and more. Stick around. It's Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Halfway home on a Wednesday, the midpoint of our week together. Ben and Woods 97.3, The Fan. Thanks so much for being here. You guys are the greatest audience in radio history as far as I'm concerned, and it's also National Compliment Day, so I wanted to get that out there to you. You've made our lives complete, okay? And make it a lot of fun to come in every day. Also, my co-hosts make it very fun to come in every day. You guys are both wonderful at what you do. Compliments are flowing on National Compliment Day.
I would like to just echo your sentiment.
Okay.
You started the show talking about some fan mail you got, some
Yes.
awesome pictures of Bo playing flag football. I actually received some mail the other day after we got back from fantasy camp from a listener. Her name is Tracy, and she reached out. She painted a watercolor painting of our dog, Jackson, that we put down a few weeks ago. She heard our story, heard me talking about it that Monday, and she sent over a beautiful
It's
painting.
amazing. Yeah,
I saw that. That was really cool.
It looked
Incredible.
so good, and she just captured his sweet little smile so perfectly, and it warmed my heart so much. I said, we have the best freaking audience in radio.
Yeah, there's no question.
No denying.
There's no question.
So
You
thank
guys
you again.
take such good care of us, and we try to do the same for you as well. But listen, some days you're the dog, some days you're the hydrant.
National Compliment Day,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Woods, you are creative
Thank
and
you,
energetic.
Ben. Oh, I don't like compliments. Thank
and
you.
you inspire me to be better
Thank
every
you.
single
I don't
day,
like
and
this.
I appreciate that. Working
like
with
these.
you every morning.
I don't
Also
like
National
compliments.
Peanut Butter Day.
Ooh, no, I do love peanut butter. Oh, we can't even. We have instituted a ban in my home on peanut butter. My wife and I are like junkies. I've seen her now. She is very. She's very. I'll say she's anal about things. This woman will walk to the kitchen, and I've caught her multiple times. Spoon in the peanut butter, eating it, sticking the spoon back in the peanut butter. She cannot control herself. Now, I'm not calling her out. I can't control myself either. When she falls asleep, if there's peanut butter in the house, I look over, I give her a little shove to make sure she's asleep. I creep out to the kitchen. I get the row of saltines. I get my peanut butter, and I'll suck down 7 or 8. We can't keep it in the house anymore. It's not just for the kids. We have banned it from our home. I came home last week from camp, and they had my wife had those delicious pretzels with the peanut butter in it. There were maybe 9 left in the bin.
Done.
I grabbed them all. I ate them. She came in later. She goes, "Where are those after those pretzels?" I go, "I ate them." She's like, "Those are mine. They're for me." And I said, "I'm sorry. They were there. We've had to institute a ban on peanut butter. No one is allowed to eat peanut butter in our home because we cannot control ourselves."
Chunky or creamy?
Creamy.
I will.
I'll eat both.
I'll do a spoonful of peanut butter, and I know it's not the healthiest because I don't like those organic peanut butters.
They're not great, man.
I want Skippy.
I want Jif and Skippy.
I want
yeah.
Skippy. I
Smear
totally
it all
admit
over
that.
me. Yes.
But I feel like I'm making a better choice than what I might have had otherwise, like 4 Oreo cookies or something.
Of course.
1 scoop of peanut butter is actually a pretty decent, like, little dessert that I'll have.
Protein. There's protein in
but
there.
I
That's
won't-
how I justify it.
I won't scoop it back in.
Right.
Just the one spoonful.
When
It can be a large spoonful. I mean,
big old ice cream
it's
scoop.
Yeah, a big, giant 1 spoonful of peanut
The
butter.
problem with eating a lot of peanut butter is when I do, I can feel my heart stopping. I can feel the plaque build up around it, and once I eliminate it, I feel better. But it's so good, and we just said we can't do it. I can't control myself. You can't control yourself. So we got it out of the house.
It's also National Lobster Thermidor Day, which is very exciting because usually that's Fridays, and to have it on a Wednesday is pretty exciting at home. So
there is no way that you didn't take lobster thermidor in your lunch to school when you were a little kid. What is it?
Do you guys know what lobster thermidor is?
So I think
It's basically the
cheese?
It's the twice baked potato of lobsters.
I don't think I'd like it.
You don't like a twice baked potato?
I love a twice baked potato. I don't want cheese on my
fish. In
fish.
a twice baked potato, they take the potato and you scoop out all the insides and you mix it with like cheese and
throw it back in.
Sour cream.
Delicious.
And then throw it back in and then put cheese on top and you bake it. With lobster thermidor, you take the lobster meat out and you mix it like a wine butter sauce and turn it into kind of like and then you stuff it back in the lobster at the end
with
where you can
cheese though.
You can Gruyere it on top if you want with a little cheese on top or not. It's more about the wine and like breadcrumbs and stuff on top as
I bet
well.
it's pretty good.
Oh, Polly's found a little lobster thermidor for us on the YouTube stream.
chat. Let me see it. I'm a little delayed.
I mean, if anyone is listening right now that wants to bring us lobster thermidor, if you're, it's like a main dish at your restaurant, you want us to talk about it, we could do so today on National Lobster Thermidor Day.
I guess I'm looking at the picture. I wouldn't say no, I suppose.
But
it's delicious.
But here's the thing. If you're going to get lobster, you don't have to. Some stand-up comedian did a bit, and he was talking about, drugs in this country, and he goes, only in America is cocaine not good enough anymore. Now we had to turn it into crack. That's the same principle with lobster. Lobster's beyond perfect on its own, dipped in a little butter. You don't have to spruce it up.
I'd agree with that.
It's not hamburger meat. It's not a chicken breast. Lobster
if I
on
want
its
lobster, if I'm in the mood for lobster, there is nothing wrong with regular lobster.
It stands alone.
I don't know about that take.
It stands alone.
Just like lobster without like anything?
No, you butter sauce.
You have to have butter.
Of course.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
And honestly, lobster
implied.
is really more about the butter than anything else.
So good, man. So you don't need to trick it up. Like people that get their steaks like Oscar style. I'm like, I don't need asparagus on my steak, and I don't need all this crap. It's good on its own. You don't have to trick everything up. You don't need to wrap it in bacon, stuff it in a full bird with gorgonzola. Just eat it. It's perfect like it is. Lobster is perfect when it comes out on the deal, thick. You dip it in the butter. You don't have to mess. You don't have to mix it up
that way. That's for sure.
So good. So good.
I'd never order lobster is the thing though. It's a lot of work for not a lot of.
Well, unless
food.
you get the thing and then you peel it off and then you throw it down.
It's good.
Cut it like a steak. But
It's really good.
It's very overpriced. It's massively. When it just says market next to it, like, what's market going for today, bud?
$120?
Yeah. What are we doing here? How many ounces?
You never have the really cheap day at the market. Oh, market price. It's actually $8.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Oh, slow day at the market, I guess. It's always exorbitant.
It's never
through
a
the roof.
good surprise on market price. Oh, really? Yeah, you got that lobster for $8. That's fantastic market price today.
Free Beans in the chat says lobster loving is Dodger loving. I don't get that. I don't get that comparison.
I'm not drawing that connection there.
At all. But I do love a nice chunk of lobster dipped in butter. You don't need Gruyere and you don't need wine in it. Just eat it. Just eat your lobster, Ben.
It's also talk like a grizzled prospector day. I'm not
doing that. No, it's not, is it? I missed that one.
It's
on there.
Talk like a grizzled prospector.
Will you Google that,
day.
Paulie, and see if you can find audio of somebody talking like a grizzled prospector?
Yeah.
Like AJ Preller?
Like a minor league prospector?
Or like a gold prospector?
I think it's gold prospector.
Do people still prospect for gold?
I'm picturing like Yosemite Sam is kind of the prospector.
Wow. Like, how did he talk? I don't remember his.
How did Yosemite?
I don't
Sam?
remember. Like, wow, you. How did he do it?
I think you're doing Foghorn Leghorn.
I think I'm doing Foghorn Leghorn. Don't get it. So a 49er, basically. Yeah. I saw a guy. We were at a birthday party recently, Ben, with the kids, and it was at a playground, like a park, and there was the playground. There's kids running around the playground. The playground's made of sand. And guess what I saw? Guy with his little metal detector
prospecting
in the park. And I thought to myself, so this was a man-made park, right? Man-made. Then they brought sand to it. There's little kids running around here.
Yeah.
There's some parents.
He's looking for like someone's lost iPhone or something in the sand, right?
What are you thinking
you're gonna find?
That you're going to find? I get prospecting maybe on the beach where like, oh, some buried treasure washed up and I found it. What are you looking for, a quarter? At a kid's play?
I was born here, and I was raised here, and dadgummit, I'm going to die here.
So that's
what came up with.
There's a satisfaction
prospector.
to just finding something hidden, though, isn't there?
Yes, but there's not a satisfaction, in my opinion at least, of lugging that thing around. Like if you find a quarter, you're like, oh, cool, I found a quarter, found $1. Like it's great. But what are you trying to find in that kid's park? What do you think? Some
lost diamond ring,
maybe
slipped off someone's
lost earring
finger,
or something?
Yeah,
maybe
potentially.
Yeah, a lot of parents there.
I know that you guys didn't grow up in California, so in third grade, you study your state history. I think it was third grade. And so in California, there's a big project every year on the gold rush because that was a formative, the statehood, 1849, the 49ers coming to the Northern California they found gold at Sutter's Mill and everyone started coming to California. So one of my favorite things in elementary school is we did the gold rush day where we'd go out into the field behind the school and, the parents, whatever, they'd paint these rocks, like spray paint them gold, and they'd scatter them out throughout the grass on the soccer field. And then you'd spend the afternoon like searching for gold, and then you'd have like a sluice where you could pan for the gold and try to separate the gold from the rocks.
I bet you loved it so.
I enjoyed gold rush days
so much.
Quite a bit, actually, in third grade, growing up in California.
My kids would too. I mean, they love
Fourth
that
grade.
stuff.
Fourth grade, Mr. Garcia says so.
And and you found, the fake gold.
Yeah, the fake gold, and you try to get you have maybe a little satchel that you put in your gold, your pouch with your gold that you collected over the course of the day. Maybe trade it in for like, the mercantile store at the end because you need to buy supplies and snacks and stuff with your gold.
Oh, God.
Because that's how the economy worked back then.
Right, yeah.
Gold-based economy.
Ben had his whole day planned out for weeks, I bet.
Oh, just so excited. In Texas, we would go and rope and kill steer on our education day in third and fourth grade. So it was really cool. Got to learn how to rope and behead a longhorn. And so that was really
Paulie,
fun.
growing up in Seattle, they
just
have
sat in
big
the rain.
coffee
day for the fourth graders.
We did get to do in sixth grade. I got to go on two overnight field trips. We had a Camp Waskowitz, which was like a 3-day overnight camping in the woods sort of thing. And then towards the end of the year, we got to go to the coastal areas, and there was an abandoned war bunker from like World War II.
Oh, yeah.
And they were telling us all about the history there. Like they would have like the whole area was set up for submarines that could come through the Pacific Ocean into the Puget Sound, and we got to do like marine biology. Like that was fun.
That's a good trip. Yeah, they just put Ben on at the back of a crick with a sluice, just panning for fake gold. Kim Higgins, if you're listening, if you have any pictures of our little 49er,
yeah, I think we're supposed to. I think we dressed up, kind of in the old kind of West kind of gear for the miners.
So good.
Some sort of bandana of some sort that seemed authentic. Back in the day.
I need a picture of you panning for gold.
Honestly, aren't we lucky though that we've shifted from a gold-based economy and now we have real money and
because our
credit
economy
cards and stuff?
our economy's so good.
If we had to like carry like little packs, pouches of gold everywhere to buy things at the store and divide it. All right, this one weighs 0.43 grams. I'll give you that for a tank of gasoline today.
then there's the guy that has really tiny pieces. He pours them all out at one time. You're like, I'll just pay for it.
That's just gold dust.
I'll just pay for it, bro. I got it.
Michael says in the chat, his school went up to the mine in Julian, and they got to pan for gold there.
Real gold.
That sounds cool. Sounds a lot, even if it was fake gold.
Did anyone ever find any real gold at the mine in Julian?
Well, it's the prospect of it. It's the line.
That sounds better than just going to a park or
with
a field.
fake colored rocks. Laying in bed at night going, I mean, it could be me. I could find a giant chunk of gold tomorrow in Julian. I wonder if anybody ever did. Oh, man. I hope they still do that stuff in school. We haven't done any field trips yet, but I hope they still get to do stuff like that. No sleepovers, though. That's not happening.
All right, bottom of the hour, the rabbit hole is coming up. The story,
man. Local story
of Coronado. Looking forward to that. When we come back, can we play that audio? Old guy rants against analytics again and try to explain why everybody's not crazy. Specifically, when it came to the Bucs going for 2 touchdowns.
Let me tell you, even I understood that. I'm not good with math.
It feels like if someone could just sit people down and calmly explain why it makes sense, that we wouldn't have kind of dumb rants on television anymore. But people apparently just can't grab their mind around the concept of going for 2 in that situation. We'll come back after a check of traffic. More Ben and Woods next on 97.3 The Fan. All right, mini Ben Rand incoming here, but the next time you hear a sportscaster, a pundit, say that they don't believe in analytics or that analytics are ruining sports, you can go ahead and ignore that person going forward.
I tend to pretty much agree with that.
You can have a intelligent conversation about how much analytics should be part of your strategy, but to say that analytics doesn't belong in the game is totally wrong, because analytics, like the decision, let's say you're an NFL team and you're down 2 points with 2 seconds left and you're at the 20-yard line. What do? What do the analytics tell you to do? You kick a field goal to win the game. Right. That is also analytics. The analytics is simply...
Yeah, that's true. That's analytics as well.
Now, it's also very logical to all of us. It's common sense. But a lot of analytics is just the gray areas of where common sense starts to blend with
percentages.
There's a couple of different things we can do here. Which one is going to give us the best chance to win?
Do we have the audio?
Yes, we do,
okay.
I believe. So
I want to hear the rant.
So in the Tampa Bay Bucks game over the weekend, when they were down 14 points in the second half and were trying to come back, and they had a chance. They scored a touchdown, and they were down 8 at that point. So you can kick an extra point and try to get down 7. Or, as analytics has kind of indicated, the most advantageous thing to do in that situation is to go for 2. And we'll talk about that. But here is the rant from PTI's Michael Wilbon against analytics because of the decision by the Bucks against the Lions to go for 2 down 8 points.
The 2-point conversion attempt that left them 8 down. Don't start me with the 2-point conversion. The analytics say go for it. Do the analytics say go for it no matter who's going for it? So if you and I were on the field, the analytics say go for it. It's the stupidest, laziest, lamest thing I've ever heard for reasoning in competition. And I hate when announcers just buy it without questioning it. The analytics say go for it. Jared Goff.
They're not buying it because someone said the analytics went for it. They're buying it because someone probably took a moment to explain. Even Woods understands why teams now go for 2 when they're down 14.
It was Olsen that explained it. Greg Olsen explained it in the game, and I listened to it, and I went, oh, yeah. Makes sense to me.
And Greg Olsen tweeted with that Michael Wilbon rant, this is just further proof how vital it is that announcers continue to educate the viewers on the current approach to NFL football. It isn't announcers being lazy. It's the way the game is being played, and it's here to stay. The game evolves. Not sure why people push back. It's lazy just to think, all right, let's kick the extra point, and we're going to be down 7, because that's what's always been done. That's the lazy thinking. The more advanced way, is there possibly a better way? And the reason, again, why it is advantageous to go for 2. There is, they have the stats that you make a 2-point conversion about 55% of the time. You make an extra point, not 100% of the time, about 95% of the time. So if you go for 2 and you make it, and then you score another touchdown, then you have a 95% chance of kicking an extra point and winning the game.
Yep.
If you go for 2, you have to go for 2 twice, though, if you miss it. You still have a better than 50% chance of both times making it. So essentially, most of the time, you'll make at least one of those 2-point conversions. So generally, you'll probably be tied some of the time. And when you make it the first time, you'll win almost every time if you score that second touchdown. Yeah. It adds up to a much better strategy than simply playing for overtime, which if you get there, you then have a coin flip chance of winning the game in the end. You've gotten yourself to a 50% chance. But if you go for that 55% chance and make it the first time, you've now given yourself a 95% chance of winning if you score that second touchdown at the end of the game.
It made perfect sense to me. Now, if you want to question the stupid play call of throwing a fade there, fine. Question that all day. Don't throw a fade. Really, ever. I mean, there's a couple of mismatches in the league. You look at it and go, all right, fine, throw a fade.
Now, if
that's the low percentage
there are
part.
real world situations that Michael Wilbon kind of touches on. If you don't have a good 2-point play, like You know what?
How are you in the NFL?
I don't know why you'd be in
good...
the NFL, but if you used it already and it's like, I don't know, our second play, I think they're going to sniff it out. Let's just go really conservative. We'll kick the extra point here. You can make that argument. But honestly, the best way to win the game mathematically is to go for that 2-point conversion when you're down 14 and you score the touchdown to get down 8. It just makes mathematical sense now, and teams are understanding that, and you're going to see it more and more often. In fact, it'll be rare where you don't see a team going for 2 when they're down 14. They get to 8, and it's late in the game in the fourth quarter, and they know they need another touchdown. They're trying to win the game, and that's the best way to try to ensure a win at the end. If you do happen, everything goes right, and you get another chance to score a touchdown.
Moreno's saying, well, how many times has this sequence actually happened in NFL playoff history, Ben? I don't know the answer to that question, Moreno. How many teams have done what you're saying? Predictive modeling is not reality. But
it's not predictive modeling. We know how many 2-point conversions are made and which are not made. We have a large sample size to know what the conversion rate is on 2 points versus 1 point. This is actually the most simple of the analytics that you can get and why it works.
Even I understood it.
Yeah,
when he explained it, I went, oh,
there are
makes
way
sense.
more advanced things that even I don't have a total grasp on and that teams are using nowadays. But this one is simple. Titans had a game earlier. It wasn't in the playoffs. So they had a game earlier this season, down 14, did the 2-point conversion, scored another touchdown. Now they were tied, kicked the extra point, and they won the game. And it can work. Is it possible that you miss both 2-point conversions and then you lose the game? Yes.
Yeah, the old, I guess not the old way, but the safe way is live to fight another play. You never know what can happen. So,
is it better to kick the extra point both times and then lose in overtime?
No,
it's still a loss.
No, yeah, exactly, still a loss. But you don't know what could happen. They could throw an interception. They could throw a pick six. I mean, it's the old adage of live to fight another play. And really eloquently put by our pal Apollo, says that was a stupid-ass move by the Bucs. Going for 2 was stupid. Analytics can be stupid as well. Down 14, kick the extra point. If they score again, go for 2. Don't give an S what you guys say. All right. It's not us. I mean, it makes sense to us, but that's the way that they're playing the NFL now. So, and trying to win a game. Also, if you're the Buccaneers and you're really not supposed to be the winners of that game, don't you also need to take into effect and take into account, I don't want to be in overtime against these guys. If we can win this thing in regulation, let's win this thing in regulation. We have a better chance of doing that than we would going to overtime.
It's but even if you don't have a better chance, still the math makes more sense.
The math makes more sense, yeah.
Than going to the coin flip of overtime. All right, let's take a timeout. I think when you picture back in the 50s and 60s, a quieter, more peaceful time, especially at a place like Coronado. And Woods went down a rabbit hole recently that he shared with us that I said, I didn't know this. I grew up in San Diego. I hadn't heard this story. It involves smuggling and an organized crime ring, all run out of sleepy Coronado here in San Diego.
Incredible
Woods
stuff.
is going to share with it on a Wednesday rabbit hole when we come back here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I think what surprised me a little bit when you shared with me the story you're about to share on our Wednesday rabbit hole is this was famous enough they did a 60 Minutes story about it a while back, and I grew up here. This is completely something I'd never read about or seen before. I guess I didn't watch that episode of 60 Minutes when I was growing up. But it's known, but it's also not that well known around even San Diego.
I'd bet, I've been here 14 years in next month, and I had never heard of it. I had never really heard of an inkling of it. And our pal Will Holder, we were on a thread over the break talking about something, and he mentioned, this is what my school is most known for. And then it jogged a little bit, like maybe I had heard of this before. And so I went I went down like I do. I went down like a 3-hour rabbit hole. And the first thing I did, I read this long, long article, and then I went and found this from 60 Minutes.
And we'll get to that right after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Idiot.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a collision blocking the slow lane, northbound 5 near La Jolla Village Drive. Watch out for some debris in the right lane on southbound 5 right before Hawthorne. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
The Coronado Mob. The Coronado Mob, before they were busted, ran a $100 million marijuana smuggling operation from 1972 to 81. And you've never seen a more unlikely-looking bunch of mobsters. They came right off the beaches of Southern California and looked as though they'd come right out of a Hollywood casting office. They were all high school pals 10, 15 years ago. There was Lance Weber, who built the boats. Lee Strempel, who supervised equipment. Don Kidd was the chief mechanic. Al Sweeney was the forger. Robert Lahodney made their most profitable connection. All these and many more of their friends and high school pals were in the Coronado Mob. And the backdrop for this improbable gang of smugglers also looks as though it had come straight out of a Hollywood film. Coronado, California, a placid, sun-drenched community near San Diego, known best for its Victorian hotel, the Del Coronado, its naval bases, and its beaches. And the kingpin, the boss of the mob, he too didn't look the part. Luis Villar used to be a high school Spanish teacher and basketball coach. How did all these men get into the marijuana business?
I like how he says Coronado.
Coronado.
It's like Ben saying Carlsbad.
So I just
Del Coronado.
I went nuts on this thing, and I did a little bit of digging. Lou Villar was a Spanish teacher at Coronado High, and got to know several of the students over the years. And Lou kind of washed out he passed away last year in September, as a matter of fact, but he kind of washed out of teaching. And this is the late 60s, man, and it is tune in, turn on, drop out. And so you found a lot of wayward youths at the time, and people that really, they didn't want to go to Vietnam, obviously. They weren't really excited about being in the military. They wanted to get high, and they wanted to hang out, and they wanted to surf, and they wanted to do all the things that they wanted to do. And, they didn't care what their parents said. They weed is really busted on the scene.
There was no March and Ash right down the street, though.
No, you couldn't just pick up the phone or shoot a text or anything like that. So the first guy had this idea. Dude, where we live in Coronado, if you paddle a mile this way, I'm in Mexico waters. I'm there. So they would go out, they would paddle a mile, they would get pot from Mexico for dirt cheap, and they would put it on their surfboard and they would paddle it back. And that's how it started. So guy comes back and he's got, some weed, a couple pounds of weed that he paddled back then. Terrifying. The thought is terrifying of paddling that far, number one. Number two, with your cargo that you're bringing. But the demand was such where they're like, all right, yeah, I'll go back and get more. So I did 2 pounds, and then 5 pounds, and then 10 pounds. And then it was, I can't paddle with all this weed on my board. What if we did like a little boat? Get a little boat, go over there, buy this for really cheap, come back here, give it to our friends, sell it, smoke it, whatever. Already more money than they knew what to do with. And we're talking just 100 pounds at a time. So then they realized, I think we're actually getting hosed by the Mexican pot dealers. We don't speak the language. We need somebody that can speak the language. Guy was driving down the street one day, looked up, saw his old Spanish teacher, Lou Villar, painting a house. Just needed some extra money, was, not really into teaching, not really doing anything anymore. Painting a house, guy stops, he says, Lou, You speak Spanish, right? He goes, yeah, very well. He said, I'll give you $50 if you come to Tijuana for lunch with me today. Lou said, yeah, let's do it. Bails on the house, gets in. Turns out when they get there, he's negotiating a deal, a better deal for the pot. Made $50 off the deal. So it was the biggest rush he's ever experienced in his life. Was talking to these other guys. They started bringing in their buddies from high school that they went to school with. And they decided, let's do like a big one. Let's get like a couple of 100 pounds. And one guy built the boat, was the engineer. One guy was the spotter. Lou was the ringleader. This thing grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew to a $100 million operation. These guys had homes in Santa Barbara. They had homes in Vail.
This was late 60s?
Late 60s, early 70s, into the 80s. I mean, it went...
So that's like $1 billion.
It
now.
went nuts. It went... And there was more supply than they could handle. They just had to figure out how to get it here. They had these intricate operations with boats and duck boats and all kinds of ways to beat
avoiding the Coast Guard and patrols.
They did it at night under the cover of darkness. It was fascinating, and it was all normal upper crust, kids that decided, this is the way we want to live. We want to be smugglers right now, and it all happened right over there in Coronado, Benny. So the most interesting thing, and it actually like hurts my heart that it hasn't happened yet. George Clooney bought the rights to this story, and they were going to make a movie called Coronado High, which is brilliant, just brilliant. Coronado High, and I could see it in my mind. I went, there's no question that you would want to sit down and watch that movie. He wanted to write it, produce it. I think it's hit a little bit of a lull. It's kind of stalled out. But man, like imagine that movie being made. George Clooney producing or directing, maybe starring in it in some capacity. Coronado High, the story of the Coronado Company, as they call them. So a few of the guys have passed away. But you can go to thecoronadoco.com.
So I
read Lou passed away just last year.
Lou passed away last year.
I didn't see the end of the story. I read some of it. They eventually started importing drugs from Asia, like Thailand,
Thai stick.
They'd meet the boats on the coast and drag them up onto the beach and they get their supply from Asia. How did it all end though?
So
were they caught?
Oh yeah, they all did time.
They all
did time in prison. Had to give a lot of the money back, but they got away with it for a long time, and they lived about as high on the hog, as no pun intended, as you possibly could. And the FBI guy that caught them said they were some of the best smugglers that this world has ever known. These guys were truly masters of their craft because of their brilliant engineering mind that could build these boats that were undetectable, and it was just a perfect team. It was like, everybody had a role. They knew their role. They didn't quibble about money and things like that. But the way they got popped is one guy wanted out. They paid him off, and he ended up getting busted for something else and kind of ratted them out. Now, they didn't do huge time. They didn't do like 40 years or anything like that. But they all went to prison. If you can go take 20 minutes today to watch the 60-minute special, it's Mike Wallace talking to the guys that did it. It's amazing. It's truly, truly incredible stuff. Happened right here in our backyard. It blows me away that you had never heard this.
I had not heard this story, and this is like the same. My dad, La Jolla High School, about the same time.
Yeah.
This is all going on. And San Diego was a much smaller community back then. There weren't nearly as many schools. You'd probably, run into more of the kids from other schools than you would have ever nowadays when, it's such a big place now. But back then it was a much smaller, sleepier town. For all of this to be going right under the nose of everybody just across the bay there in Coronado.
And you think about that step in your life where you're like, the guys, if Lou had just said, nah, man, I can't make it today. I got to finish painting this house, right? There's a threshold where you go, all right, I have to go both feet over the line. I can't do a toe in the I got to jump in. And all these guys did, all smart kids, good students, top athletes. Lou was their coach in basketball and swimming. Like, these were good kids. They were good kids that said, I don't want to be a part of the establishment. I want to be in the counterculture. This is what I'm going to do, and I can make a buttload of money doing it. But taking that step into like, all right, we're now drug smugglers is one. That's what resonated with me of going, I could never. I don't have the stomach for it. There's just no chance. Ben, how about you? Could you have been?
I don't think I would have had the stomach for it. No, Woods, to be a smuggler.
Just the most gnarly.
I mean,
situation.
if I had to be, I'd be maybe the lookout.
The lookout.
Yeah.
You get too nervous.
I could see Ben contributing with some logistics help.
But I don't
No
really want to be
I don't
involved.
want to be there, but yeah, if
But
you need
if
my
you go
advice,
this way,
you might have a better chance. Analytics tells you.
Analytics would say.
You said they were raking in like $100 million. I did a little inflation calculator here.
Yeah.
In the mid to late 60s, $100 million would have been roughly $960 million today.
Good Lord.
It's
billion dollar
It's like the
industry.
Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani's deferred payments.
Exactly.
Now, was it just weed?
Yeah, just
Or were
weed.
they-
I think they partook in other things, but they didn't get into the actual smuggling of things like that. But
Is there, I see in our chat, people are casting the movie. I want Miles Teller as the lead smuggler.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Pena as the Spanish teacher.
Pablo Pascal as Lou VR would be amazing.
I mean, the picture
Pedro
that
Pascal,
I saw,
sorry.
that's pretty like white bread.
Bro,
like,
yes. There is as
nondescript looking kids.
That's what
you know?
Mike
Yeah.
Wallace was saying. It's like they didn't look like this brilliant mob, which is what they were. They just look like regular. They look like they should
Fast
be on
Times at Ridgemont High.
No, Beach Boys.
students,
Cover of Beach Boys
Yeah.
albums. That's what
Yeah.
they look like. And they were all surfer kids, and they just said, we don't want to live this life anymore. We don't want to be like mom and dad. I mean, dude, for a while, when they talk about all their different homes and things that they had, you're like, these guys were really doing it. They really had wouldn't you, if you got away with it for like 3 years, wouldn't there come a point where you're like, I've got enough money, I have these homes, I've avoided it now, I'm under the radar, I'm out. That's what would get me. Even if I ever jumped, I'd be like,
No, dude, it's like Breaking Bad. He got enough money to take
true.
care of his family for the cancer treatments, and
probably
if he were to die, but he was like, no, now I need it all.
it's probably the rush too of
yeah.
the doing the act of smuggling. That they all said it. They said when that boat hits the beach and all those guys run down and they're grabbing these bales, they're throwing them in a 4x4. That was the juice for them. It wasn't that we whack up $100,000. It was watching the boat get to the beach and then knowing we did it. We got away with it.
Obviously, drug smuggling is dangerous and a serious crime, and there's probably other, tax crimes as well that goes along with it.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, though. Obviously, attitudes have changed quite a bit, especially toward marijuana, which has been legalized for. I mean, how many years now? It's been a many years now, and
6, 7, 8 years.
People who are younger than us, who didn't really necessarily grow up in the time when it was much more strictly forbidden and illicit, if they have a different view of this story,
I'm
maybe
sure they
like
do.
an older listener who remembers growing up at a time when the potheads. That was, I mean, it wasn't just. It wasn't just something funny. It's like, that guy's just a pothead. I mean, it was like, ooh, stay away from him. He's a
head.
dangerous.
They used to call him a head.
He's dangerous.
He's a head.
That's a dangerous thing out there.
I'm going to post the link on my Twitter for you guys to read the story. There's some really involved stories. Again, the 60-minute special is spectacular. Shot in that old, 1980s way that they used to do it. Beautiful shots of our city as well. But it was so riveting stuff right here in our own backyard.
Did you guys watch my 60 Minutes?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, my parents always watched, and it was Sunday night, and we were kind
I
of
watched it,
settling in, getting ready for Monday morning, and we ended up watching it a lot of the time.
When you
growing
heard
up.
the ticks, the weekend was over.
Over, yes, the football games were over.
Yeah, and you had this
and
panic.
dinner
a little
was
bit.
done,
Dinner
and it was
done.
like, oh, my weekend is done. The ticks,
and you knew it. All right,
it's like the ticking sound. I got to go to bed soon,
bath,
and then it's
bed.
like Monday morning is here, and back to the home. Did I get all my homework done and everything? Am I ready to go for the weekend?
It was the signal. Yeah. It was the signal of our youth.
I mean, I like to stay up for Murder, She Wrote after 60 Minutes, obviously. But.
I would feign interest in 60 Minutes so I could stay up later. Dad, I want to watch this.
I'm Steve Croft.
Okay.
I'm Leslie Stahl.
I'm Bob Simon. I'm Morley Safer.
I'm Dave Jones.
I'm Scott Pelley.
What was that?
Those stories
Paulie?
and Andy Rooney. Tonight on 60
Someone did a parody, or
I'm Dave. What?
Jay?
I don't know.
This is really, really good. So I just.
I mean,
tweeted
who were
away.
they? Morley Safer, Mike Wallace,
Diane Sawyer.
Yeah, I mean, there was that core cast though when I was growing up and watching. Who were the main?
Ed Bradley with his
Harry
earring. I loved
Reasoner.
it. Yeah, Harry Reasoner. I loved Ed Bradley.
Ed Bradley with his earring. Yeah.
So good.
The one cool
legend.
60 Minutes host.
Mike Wallace crushes.
And then
this story.
Andy Rooney with the eyebrows at the end.
I'm Andy Rooney.
It reminds me of too many people that I know. Can't stand that.
He probably is not a fan of analytics either.
Or
going for 2 down
or
14.
yeah, 100%. Or drug
Dan
smuggling
Rather.
in Coronado. Yeah, Dan Rather. I mean, it was a brilliant show, but it meant your weekend's over, buddy. Time
That
to
guy
get
made
back
an
to reality.
entire career out of being a grumpy old man.
Being a turd. Yeah.
I don't understand.
I can't stand that dude. Oh, I never could. Even when I was a kid, I was like, I don't like
He
you,
really
man.
missed his calling in sports talk radio.
Oh, he would have crushed it. His big eyebrows.
Why did Jace Tingler do that?
Ugh. Gives me the chills, man.
Mike Schilt is an idiot, and I'll tell you why.
Can't stand him. Ugh, never liked him. I think he's dead, I think.
Most of them have passed away. Yes, he is
Rest in
definitely.
peace. Shout out to your family.
Long ago. It's been a.
You think it was shtick? I don't think it was shtick either. I don't think he was like, I don't think he got off the night. He was like, hey, how'd I do? Did I crush that?
He's truly a
I think he was
curmudgeon.
just an old turd all the
My coffee's too cold. This chair's uncomfortable.
I bet the production
Maybe,
assistants
maybe I'm
hated
him.
working with him.
God, maybe I'm him, actually. Complaining about my expense reports and the water and all that. Andy Rooney.
I'm Ben Higgins.
I'm Stephen Woods.
I'm Paul Reindl.
We'll be back with more Ben and Woods next on 97.3 The Fan. Got a lot of people jumping now into the rabbit hole to learn more about the Coronado gang.
The Coronado Company.
The company.
God, I want that movie made so
I do
bad.
too.
Coronado High.
I would love to see that.
George Clooney, if you're listening, and you may be, please make that movie. Or somebody go buy it from him and make it. It would be so good. So good. Did you ever see the movie Blow with Johnny Depp?
I don't think I saw that one.
Watch that one.
Okay.
It's probably in the same vein, but different drug, obviously. But this one, it would be so good. Coronado High.
Blow. That's a euphemism or a nickname for cocaine.
Correct.
I know that.
Yeah.
Very
Very
that
good.
one.
Look at you.
He's so edgy.
You can tune in to Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti every Friday night, 7 p.m. here on 97.3 The Fan. This week, of course, they'll be previewing the conference championship games. You can also catch it on the free Odyssey app. Presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos brought to you by those who drink it, and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. Speaking of drinking it, I saw a fan yesterday at the Louisville basketball game. Louisville. And they had a little gimmick at like the halftime where he had to make a putt. So from one baseline, and then the hole is on the other, 94 feet all the way across the court. And if you straight enough, it rolled all the way and through the little opening at the end. And he won a 23-year-old bottle of Pappy Van Winkle bourbon.
I think I saw that too.
Which is valued, I think they said, around $3,000. And
Hey.
it's, I would say, I like finer things. I have never tried Pappy Van Winkle.
Me
Have you
neither.
ever
No,
gotten a chance?
never had,
Paulie, I
had
assume
a
not
sip.
you either. You
Did
had
you?
a sip.
Yeah. Restaurant I worked at, we got a bottle. And
Very cool.
I've had Louis Trey, though, which is brandy. Or
That's
cognac?
the one in the really
Yeah,
fancy,
the fancy
crystal
Bro, it
bottle.
was such a small sip. You were barely
Could
even
tell-
able to
barely
tell
wet
if
your
it
lips.
was good or
Difference.
not, but I have had it.
I've always wondered. I mean, how much better could it be than just a solid, Bullet or Elijah Craig, or just kind of the normal upper end bourbon brands? But
I mean, you wear Costco jeans, and
I
if
do.
you buy other jeans, you can see the difference.
there is a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
I'm sure there is.
But I'm sure there are some things out there where they're like, let's just jack the price up on these dummies, and they can't tell the taste test. Like, you ever see like when they put sommeliers through the taste test of like, all right, this is barefoot wine, and this is. Some of them don't
Don't
get
know.
it. That's
Oh, yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah,
man.
well, even the greatest wine tasters on earth sometimes will be fooled and go, I think this is the greatest wine. And they go, yeah, it's about a $20 bottle of wine from California. This is a $500 French, bottle of wine. And they go, I think the California one's better. There's a lot of subjectivity to
exactly right.
to tasting notes, and palates are all a little bit different. But I've never tried Pappy Van Winkle.
I'd like to try a little bit of it. I like bourbon, well enough when I do drink. That's usually what I drink is bourbon.
No,
or
you
whiskey.
wouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't mix it though. You'd want to have it
just
straight.
I
You don't
on the
old
rocks.
fashion it
that
up,
neat.
or yeah.
I
Maybe
don't. I
one
can't
rock.
do things neat. I don't do
One
hot
rock.
liquor of any flavor. I can't do
I can
anything.
do.
warm.
I can do neat.
I would
can't.
do. I would do that if we had a bottle of
ice.
Pappy.
Just one ice cube.
Yeah, one cube.
One cube.
maybe one.
is fine.
I wouldn't want it getting watered down.
Yeah, that's what. Sometimes
I wouldn't
sometimes they'll say that it
Right.
actually can improve a little
bit of water.
little tiny bit of water actually improves the flavor.
Okay, we went to a distillery. I've never really done a distillery tour, but when I was in Denver a few months ago, we went to a distillery, a whiskey distillery, and they told us that same exact thing. They said, try this sip now. We did. Okay. And then he just had a droplet, and he put like 2 drops of water into our
Changed
glass.
it.
Yeah.
Changed the complexion of the drink entirely.
Listen to him. The complexion of the drink.
Nice.
The notes.
I like this.
The notes of it. Strawberries.
And I don't remember exactly, but he's like, it just went from 86 proof to 94,
That's so
like
cool.
whatever it was, whatever the numbers, but it completely changed the whiskey entirely. Just 2 drops of water.
C20 Moreno in the chat says sipped on some rabbit hole bourbon over the holidays just to bring all of it together.
Is
The
that a
rabbit
real
hole
thing?
and
'Cause I'd
bourbon
like to
talk.
try that.
Sounds like a bourbon brand
Yeah.
somewhere, I'm sure.
All right, I'll try it.
All right, let's get to some headlines, stuff we haven't gotten to. It's time for Polly and the Ryle Report.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Ryle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Ryle Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Ryle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right. I'm Paul Reindl. Good morning.
I'm Stephen Woods.
I'm Ben Higgins.
There's a bit there. I don't know what it is, but there's a bit.
Well, 60 minutes.
There's 60 seconds. Yeah. We don't have 60 minutes, but we have 60 seconds. I like
69
this.
seconds.
69 seconds would be great.
Yeah, I think
all
we can make that happen.
I think we can make something happen.
We've been looking for a new segment.
We have.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
If you guys have any ideas, fire them our way.
Yeah.
We have the idea. Well, we have the name.
We have an open.
And the
We
open.
actually need a concept now.
Need the concept.
Those are the hardest parts.
100%.
Often finding the name of a segment and the open, that can be the toughest part. Anyways, we will move. We'll start with the NFL. There was a hiring yesterday. Well, Tom Telesco has a new job. He was fired by the Chargers after 10 seasons, I believe, with the Chargers.
11,
and he
I
is,
think.
11?
Yeah.
Now he is staying in the division. He's going to be the new GM of the Las Vegas Raiders. Thought that was interesting. You don't typically see guys staying within the division like that. He did get a job right away. I think that says something about his abilities.
I think he brought in some really good players for the Chargers over in his tenure.
It didn't amount to much.
I think he got much better at the draft when he got guys like Derwin James and stuff. But again, the problem with some of his draft picks, as you mentioned before the show, Benny, they just haven't been able to stay on the field a lot. But I don't know that you can put that on him necessarily.
General manager brings in amazing talent, but somehow it doesn't all come together on the field
Sounds
and work
weird.
out.
Right.
Started here in San Diego. I was there the day he was hired. I remember just down the street there at Chargers Park. And I like Tom enough, certainly, but this is a weird hire for me. I mean, as the saying goes, hey, when the GM of the team that finished last in your division is available, you got to grab them before anybody else does. I mean, the Chargers are the only team the Raiders have actually done better than in recent years, and they go and, I mean, he has experience, and they were looking with a rookie head coach essentially in Antonio Pierce, who they made the full-time head coach after he was the interim. I guess Mark Davis said, I don't want a rookie general manager and a rookie head coach, essentially.
Makes sense.
So he went with the guy. He's got a bunch of experience. I guess we'll see how Tom Telesco does now divorced from John Spanos and the Spanos family.
That's the other.
And we'll see, if Tom thrives in Oakland and they, nail the drafts and nail their signings and they start making this climb up, we'll know exactly. Chargers fans will have nowhere else but to point the blame squarely at one place.
Which I'm kind of hoping
ownership.
for that to happen.
Just he needs quarterback.
But
so
it's kind of a weird hire. I mean, 3 playoff appearances in 11 seasons isn't exactly hot candidate general manager material in the NFL.
It's true.
But the times that I interviewed him and interacted with him, didn't have anything against him. Kind of liked him personally. Seemed like a okay sort of fellow. And then he was gone, and I haven't talked to him in years and years. So we'll see how he does with the Raiders in Las Vegas.
All right, moving on. College hoops. Saw this story yesterday. We are about halfway through the college basketball season, as teams are entering conference play now. And last week, we're talking about the TCU, the Lady Horned Frogs. They hosted open tryouts just last week.
I saw them talking about this last night. I think I was watching ESPN too.
They had too many season-ending injuries.
Oh, man.
Like total, hey, walking around campus.
Do you want to play?
We need
D1
basketball players.
Yeah.
And can you come and try out for our team? Did you play in high school at all? We need women to come and try out for our team.
So they blasted this out there, had tryouts, open tryouts. Anybody that is a student could then go and try out for the team. And the team found out that they had multiple state title winning players who were enrolled there as just regular students. Probably had offers to play at other schools, didn't want to take it, wanted to just go to TCU.
Yeah.
So they just, hung
Felt
them
they
up.
probably weren't good enough to make the TCU team, so they just said, I
Right.
guess my
didn't get an
basketball
offer
career is
or
done.
whatever. So they were just regular old students, heard about the open tryouts. 3 have now been signed as walk-ons on the team.
AJ Preller, if you're listening, saw some really nice talent last week out in the outfield.
No, we didn't.
You know, it's interesting because I heard the coach was being interviewed, and he said, it seems simple, but okay, so once we picked a couple of players and go, they can help us, the process of getting them onboarded and making sure like their class schedules work out now with all of our practices and our travel and the NCAA compliance and NIL and getting them like set is like a massive undertaking to get these walk-ons now onto the team in the middle of the season and ready to go. A pretty amazing story, actually.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and when do they play their first game?
They've been playing.
They
I don't
have
know.
been playing?
I mean,
this window was the tryouts were last week.
The tryouts were last week.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I don't think any
yet.
of them have actually played yet, but they're still in the middle of the season. I saw Sean Lewis is holding open tryouts for any student at San Diego State.
Oh, really?
This week, yeah, they tweeted it out.
I don't think that's super uncommon.
That happens.
Yeah,
before the season
Walk
starts,
on,
like before the season starts. But to be
in the middle of the season, is very
mid-season,
weird.
I mean, conference play been going on for 2 weeks now.
How much
whatever.
eligibility do I have left?
Probably all. You haven't
4
played any
years.
college
Played
football,
any.
right?
It's true. 4 years of eligibility.
You also don't go to San Diego State.
It's
I
true.
think that
I could enroll.
You have to enroll.
I can do that.
What position would you play?
Tight end.
I don't know why I laughed.
Scout team tight end.
Probably just as good as any other.
100%.
Hands are not bad.
Not bad. Not real tough, though. I'm big.
You're not big compared to football players.
6'1", 235? No. It's punter.
You're tiny up
Kicker,
there.
little guy.
Even I'm tiny.
Yeah, really.
Out there compared to Division I football players.
Paulie,
But yeah, open tryouts.
this next story is going to infuriate me.
Yeah, you sent this over my way. You've reached out. You've mentioned it in between breaks 2 or 3 times already. You were not happy at all about this last story.
I'm tired of this, man.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling for federal action to crack down on Zyn. Zyn pouches have become wildly popular over the last couple of years.
Son of a bitch, man.
And he says the nicotine pouches are a danger to teenagers as they are using them now as an alternative to e-cigarettes, which were an alternative to regular cigarettes and so on and so forth. He said it's a pouch packed with problems. Today I'm delivering a warning
That's
to parents
punchy. I like
because
that.
these nicotine pouches seem to lock their sights on young kids, teenagers, and even lower, and then use social media to hook them. He's urging the FDA to investigate Zyn for concerns relating to marketing and health effects.
You know what? If you want to hammer the marketing of it, that's one thing. I don't care. They're talking about trying to take these bad boys from us.
Are they marketing towards kids? I've never seen a commercial.
I haven't
or
either.
A banner, a billboard or anything.
Social media is social media. People tweet and whatever. Like, they've already in California, they've taken the flavored Zyns away. Okay, so
they still have them in Arizona.
They do. Paulie and I loaded up.
I had some. Yep.
Just loaded up. First thing we did, hit Yuma, was like, let's get some lunch, load up on some Zyn. Right? It's for me as a long time, it's nicotine addict. 100%. You got me, right? Like it is what it is.
I'm split here.
It's not chew though for me. Like I had to quit chew.
I
that's
think
hard.
Personal freedom, choice, and responsibility is, I think, important. But if you could go back and never have tried tobacco at all, and not be addicted, and not have to worry about it, would you go back and just say, "I
probably wouldn't."
Never give. Really?
I probably wouldn't.
Would you? What would you tell your kids then? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't start.
Yeah, don't
or
start.
go ahead.
No, don't start.
Well, then why wouldn't you tell yourself that? If you tell your kids,
Because I'm my own person. It for me, like I made that choice, and I haven't really been particularly
knowing how hard it is to quit, and how people struggle with quitting.
These
At the very
actually
least,
help.
I can
though.
understand
These help those trying to kick cigarettes, trying to kick tobacco.
For people who are on that, but for people
Yeah.
who have never had cigarettes or tobacco,
Then you
they
don't
can
need
also
them.
be a gateway toward.
And these aren't for you. You don't need them.
Yeah. They're not for you.
And I think that's what they're trying to stop kids. They're not trying to stop kids who have been addicted to cigarettes for 10 years from using Zyn to stop smoking. They're trying to stop kids from starting Zyn as their first tobacco to get into tobacco use.
Well, if it's not this, then tobacco still exists, right? I feel like he's bought off from Big Tobacco. I think Big Tobacco said, hey, go after these because it's hurting our business. That's how I really feel about it. You already took the flavors from me. Now you're going to come after these. Bro, you will see I will be Boston Tea Party. I'm going to lose my mind.
He's not the senator from North Carolina.
Still.
I can imagine that.
Still.
There's not really a big... Who was it? Adam Schiff, right? He said?
No,
Chuck Schumer. Oh, Chuck Schumer, New York. Well, it's not like they grow a ton of tobacco in New York.
Bro, these things, it doesn't matter. They're in these guys' pockets, the lobbyists and everything. I'm going full tinfoil hat at this point. Like, the other thing I think about is this. So I know they've curtailed cigarette advertising. I know they've curtailed alcohol advertising at times, but it's pretty much shoved in kids' faces everywhere they go. My kids see commercials. My kids see, whatever. I'm fine with I'm fine with not having an 8-year-old going, try Zyn. They're really, really good. I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. But I'm a grown ass man that can put a nicotine pouch in my mouth when I want to. This is America, Jack. Right? I'm telling you, I may march if I had to for this. It's just getting ridiculous at this point.
I mean for me,
think about the other problems in this country. This is what you're worried about.
Yeah.
You have fentanyl coming over the border. You got fentanyl everywhere. You got people sleeping on the streets. Let's hone in our focus on a little. Don't worry about this. We'll be fine. We got it.
Interesting.
I appreciated them as a alternative to chewing tobacco, which I did for 8 or 9 years. It's a disgusting habit, but I was addicted. Bad. And I will give California credit because when I used the flavored stuff, and when they got rid of it, it's like, well, I don't really have a choice.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
But I've almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
And my dentist told me the Zyn pouches aren't going to do anything. Like they're not going to hurt you, and if that helps, then you're fine. But I don't know. I don't know if they're marketing towards children.
I don't either. I mean, look, we were all teenagers, and all of us except for Ben. Ben was born at 45 years old. You're going to find stuff. You're going to find cigarettes. You're going to find, tobacco. You're going to find liquor. You're going to find. You can't hide.
I'm glad I never tried it. Though.
Sure. I mean, but you tried alcohol at some point, and I look. If I had to take the choice of my kids doing a Zyn or drinking, I'm taking Zyn all day long. All day long. Nobody's going to throw you in jail because he was all hopped up on Zyn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and clearly, it's not as bad for you as smoking or chewing tobacco. Yeah. I wonder what Tony Gwynn Jr. would say. Maybe he wishes Zyn was around, and for his dad, who obviously tried to kick chewing tobacco many times.
Hardest thing I've ever had to quit,
and was not able to do it.
It's the hardest thing I've ever had. I had withdrawals, it was terrible. But these help. These help people that are trying to do that and get off that. So I think I'm not extolling the virtues of a nicotine pouch, other than it's a lot better than jamming a wad of tobacco in your lip.
Keep your laws off Woods' tin. We'll be back
100%.
with more after checking traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Paulie just scored during our break there. Wow. Camera time. Thank you.
With a lady?
No,
Oh,
not with a lady.
Well, that's a quick break. Paulie just scored.
He got bribed.
He did.
Did get
Or
bribed.
thanked for. You could say you got thanked for doing something nice last year, and then
Yeah.
there's the hope that you'll do it again this year.
I guess that's how you can put it. Yeah. My friend Aaron just swung by the studio and dropped off a couple of gifts, and he wants to, I guess, bribe me. I'm thinking it's more bribing me for the upcoming event rather than thanking me for last year's event.
Yeah.
But I helped out at their Little League opening day ceremonies last year. And I was the MC and introduced all the kids, and they liked it, and they would like to have me back. So he brought over
It's called a man crate.
some golf balls and a man crate, which
There's
is
a
a
man
wooden,
inside of it.
So it was a
wooden
real
crate.
wooden crate, not like a giant wooden crate, but like a,
It's like
12,
like a foot by 1 foot.
Yeah.
1 foot,
Yeah, 1
a
foot
cube.
square cube, and it
And
came with a crowbar to try and open it up.
Should have seen us trying to get in there with a crowbar.
Woods unsuccessfully tried to get it. I finally jimmied the thing open, and we were just talking about bourbon. It was a beautiful set of glasses and a decanter.
Yeah.
With engravings. It says like P. Rindle on the
Yeah, it
glasses.
says PR.
and PR
Yeah.
on the
Totally
decanter.
custom.
Very nice. Very cool.
I think I'm in, right? I have
Well,
to do it
yeah,
now.
I mean, look, I've done. You know how many things on the arm I've done in the last 14 years? You know what? I've never gotten a man crate. I've barely even gotten thank yous half the time. No, that's a really nice
Oh,
gesture.
that was very thoughtful. Very cool.
Very nice.
The Farmers Insurance Open is underway at
right
Torrey
now?
Pines. Yeah, I had the first players were teeing off about 30 minutes ago.
Should give us a
so
little PBP.
out on the course. I'm not watching right now. I'm focusing on the show.
Oh, look at you.
I can tell you that Nikolai Højgaard is in the lead at 2 under par through 2 holes. I would assume that's probably on the north course, as that one always surrenders the better scoring in the first 2 days when they each play one round on the
rotate
north,
it.
one round on the south. They switch the next day. And
Where
then
would you rather start?
That's it. I've always wondered.
I know.
I feel like
Is it a random draw?
yeah, I mean, they organize it for television because they want some of the stars
Sure.
playing on each course in the TV windows. But usually half of them play on the north and half of them play on the south each day, and half of them start on the 10th tee and half of them start on the first tee. I think the north course and go out and try to get a few under. So you feel like, all right, yeah, I'm near the lead.
Got some
I'm up there. I
confidence.
got some confidence. And then you just try to survive then the next day on the south course. You shoot even par. You feel
Because the
I had
South,
a good day.
The South can kill you on day one. You're 6 over or something.
Yeah.
Like,
And now there's been a ton of people who have shot 3 or 4 under on the north one day and they shoot 7 over and
Yep.
miss the cut on the south and not the next day. So there's no guarantee either way that you're going to do well. But yeah, I think I'd rather start on the easier course, try to put up a number. And sometimes it takes like 63, 62 to be in the lead after the first day. But a guy who shot 70 or 69 is just 2 or 3 under on the south might actually be a better place to go. And if you shoot well on the first day, if you shoot like 68 on the south, even if you're like 3 strokes off the
you're
lead,
feeling
you
good,
feel
man.
really
Oh,
good.
you can go get 7, 8 under the next
I
day.
got a lot of chances for birdies the next day on the north. And, I'm not going to probably have to stress about making the cut or anything. If things, conditions get tougher, the wind kicks up, the north is just a little bit more manageable. Although over the years, I'll tell you what, the north has gotten a lot tougher. Used to be much easier. Now it's easier, but there's still some teeth on the north course as well. It's been lengthened. The fairways have gotten narrower. The rough will be deep everywhere. With that rain, I mean, it was already deep when I went for that media day a couple of weeks ago. With all the rain that is going to make it, even thicker and gnarlier and nastier, it's going to be, if you miss the fairway, you're going to shoot bad scores. But if you hit the fairways, the rain has also softened the greens. And for the pros, that means they can just hit it right to the pin and it'll stop right there. They don't have to worry about it like bouncing off the green into the short-sided rough. They can go right at the pins, and it actually tends to surrender more birdies for the guys who are in the fairways when the greens are soft and the rain soaks the course a little bit right before the tournament.
Local legend Charlie Hoffman has even been through 3 holes.
He was the first off this morning, I think, on the South course. So
rolling them in.
Hopefully Charlie can represent. Michael Kim is on the course at even par, Torrey Pines High School, and has gotten off to a good start this season. So a few local names in the field right now that have started. I think 10:40 is when Xander Schauffele, Max Homa, and Tony Finau, that's probably the most premier threesome of the day, get underway on the South course in just over an hour.
Always a fun week, man, and always, they'll be showing it all across the country. And Torrey Pines always remains one of those golf courses still. If somebody goes, hey, I've got a tee time at Torrey, do you want to play? I go, no, I'm good. I love it. It's amazing, and to get to play it a few times has been an honor, but I'm good. I play bad everywhere. Nowhere do I play as bad as I do when I play at Torrey Pines.
Most courses are like this. Like, it's not groundbreaking news here that if you just hit the fairways, you can actually handle Torrey Pines. The difference is the courses that we play on a regular basis, if you don't hit your fairways,
you're not dead.
It's not gonna be the end of the day.
You're not gonna break your wrist.
You'll be able to find your golf ball.
Find your ball.
And you'll be fine.
Can't do
Torrey
it.
Pines, you can't do it.
The interesting, because Max Homa was saying, and the pros have it a little differently because they've got the spotters out there who tell them. There's not really a lot of places wwhere you lose your ball off the course at Torrey Pines.
Right.
There's.
I've hit it in the ocean before.
You can on 4 on the south,
many times actually.
And there's a canyon on
I've
13
hit that
on the
canyon
left.
so many times.
But for the most part, it's just grass.
Yeah.
It's most of the holes, both sides.
Not even a lot of trees
There's
either.
It's just a lot of grass out there,
grass.
and it's just long. And there's some bunkers, and the fairways are narrow, and it's
Greens
just a
are hard
rough,
as
and
hell.
you can't really get it. You can't really advance it very far when you get in the rough, even if you can find it once it's in there. But it's not a bunch of hazards. There's only one water hazard on the 2 courses combined, right in front of the 18th green on the south. That's
that
it.
and the giant ocean off to the left as well. Another big water hazard that I've managed to find many times. But it is a beauty, and it always represents San Diego so well this week nationally. So always makes me happy.
All right, I said we would do it yesterday. Let's get the Tier 1 topic wheel fired up for our last segment. If you want to call in and join us, get online right now. 833-288-0973. You never know what the topic is going to be. It's whatever the wheel says it's going to be in our final segment of the day of Ben and Woods, coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3. I have to give away some Doobie Brothers tickets. We've been talking about Doobies all morning long.
All you can talk about is Doobies. That's it.
Let's do that right now. Be the 4th caller, 833-288-0973. We'll send you to the Doobie Brothers at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on June 25th. Tickets go on sale Friday, 10 a.m. That is 2 days and 30 minutes from now, but you can win them right now, 833-288-0973, or buy them at Ticketmaster.com. Later this week, Tier 1 topic wheel next on 97.3 The Fan. Radio Hazard.
Oh my God!
I've done it too. Did you see it on the YouTube stream?
I
Had
don't
Pauly
think
come
so.
back yet? When you try to put your headphones on and it slips and just snaps and whacks you in the face or in the nose.
Perfect. Perfect end to a perfect day.
All right, so now we need to clear out all the lines. We just
Why
gave
do you
out
do
the
this?
we gave out the Doobie Brothers tickets, but I wanted to get the Tier 1 topic wheel going. So clear out the phone lines, start them up again.
You go to these people and they want Doobie Brothers
yeah,
tickets.
exactly.
They're like, what is the topic wheel?
833-288-0973. You can call us. We can spin the topic wheel. I would love to talk more Padres baseball. I really would.
There's nothing.
Not much to. We went through the bullpen yesterday.
Yeah. Here, let's do the outfield. Fernando Tatis is there. He's
Let's
pretty
talk
good.
about Fernando, and I think he should start in right field right now, and center, and left.
And left. A one-man show.
Yet here we are with a couple of weeks to go, and still waiting. And not the only team that is obviously
incomplete
moves to make, and the grade is incomplete for the offseason right now.
Yep.
So we sit, we wait, and we will find out at some point what they are going to do about the rest of their roster. Because they will actually invite, like they'll have a 40-man roster. Right now it's like a 34 or 35-man roster. There are spots, they will fill them before the season starts.
They have to. Yeah.
Do you? Can you? I mean, you can have 38 guys on your 40-man roster. You don't have to, but they will. They will at some point, and we'll find out, when we find out, and then we'll let you know. All right, let's check traffic. Come back. I see people calling in for the topic wheel. That's next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Got a couple problems on the coastline. Crash on southbound 5 before Carlsbad Village Drive. Several vehicles got into it. A couple of them over the right shoulder, but there is one facing the wrong way in the HOV lane. Further down, right before the racetrack. Watch out for it. Looks like a cardboard box in middle lanes. Going to find a hit-and-run crash on the University Avenue off-ramp northbound 805. And looks like Caltrans doing a little graffiti cleanup. Southbound 5 at the East 54 connector ramp, so take it extra carefully there. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline instant drive-thru oil change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for discounts, locations nearest you. Valvoline Oil Change Centers are open 7 days a week. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I get the dumbest emails. Oh, gee. Someone needs to tell me that Joel Embiid gained 19,000 Instagram followers after his 70-point performance. Why does anyone care how many Instagram followers Joel Embiid has?
Is that like a...
You do get weird emails.
The experts at JeffBet.com use Social Blade to analyze the Instagram followers of Joel Embiid. Why does anyone care about that?
That's somebody's job.
I know.
That's so weird.
Crafting an entire email about it.
And
that
then
they have blasted out to everyone.
Does he want us to interview him?
No. If you plan on using this story, please credit JeffBet.com.
Great job, Jeff Bet.
Make sure give them their credit.
I just did. You, Jeff Bet, you have sent me my dumbest email of the day so far. Thank you very much for that. All right, let's bring on a call. Let's go to line 1. We're just going blind into this. Caller, who's this?
Works.
This is Ryan.
Ryan, did you want Doobie Brothers tickets?
Or do you want to play the Tier 1 topic wheel?
Or do you just want to say hi?
Oh man, the spin the wheel.
Oh yes, all right.
Well,
fine,
on
then.
top, your only
I like
option
that.
because we already gave away
The doobies.
The doobies.
I don't want to go see no drug band.
Yeah. Winner of the day already. Thank you, Ryan. Perfect.
That's his grandfather on the phone. No drug ban. Ryan, what is your favorite drug?
My favorite drug?
I'm kidding.
How do you like to partake in marijuana? No. Let's see. Who was the last person you felt inspired by?
See,
other than Michael McDonald?
Yeah.
Last person.
Dang, I was going to say Michael McDonald, too.
No, you weren't.
The last person I was inspired by, oh, man, I think just because it's still kind of fresh, I mean, our guy Peter Seidler, honestly.
100%.
Good call.
What he did for the community, I don't think a lot of people really realize. Super special dude. Got the whole community rallied around the team even more so than they have been the last couple of years. So I think our guy Peter Seidler deserves all that credit.
It's great answer. It's going to be weird when Ben says Delilah, but I, for me, Peter's a great one. Peter's a great one. I'd say we talked to his brother, at fantasy camp. Honestly, you know who mine is? Probably Tim Flannery.
Oh, it's a good one, too.
Did I steal yours? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tim Flannery is probably the one I was most inspired by. I had really enjoyed our time together at fantasy camp, and knowing how close he was to not being around anymore just a couple of years ago, and to see him out there ripping fungos and his positivity and the way that he wanted to lean in and help everybody inspired me. Watching him play music inspired me a lot. I've been on the guitar all week when I had not been in a while, and picked up the guitar again, been playing a lot around the house. Really, really inspirational scene.
Talked about him earlier, but since I was texting with him yesterday, the last person I was inspired by and continue to be inspired by is our friend Steve Sugimoto, who is pursuing his dream of being a professional golfer, and he is just dedicating himself to it, working hard. And the way he handled his disappointment yesterday, coming so close to qualifying for the tournament, but then also going, but I'm taking a lot from this. It's a learning experience. I know I can compete. I want to take the positives out of it. A lot of people would just dwell and go, if I had just made 2 more putts, I'd be out there on the PGA Tour today. I loved the attitude. And I know part of that is you tell yourself what you think you should tell yourself in a situation like that. But I love that from Steve, and continue to wish him the best of luck. And I find him inspirational.
I would go with my friend Dana from fantasy camp last year. My teammate, Woods' teammate until he was traded. We talked about her, I think, briefly on the show last week. She lost her leg. She was in the military, and she was out there with a prosthetic leg. And hearing her story of how totally at ease she was with that decision.
So calm with it.
I can see it being a really traumatic, tough decision to make, and then growing to accept it. But she sounded like she was at the acceptance phase from the minute it was presented.
She
as
told
an option.
him. She said, "Cut it off.
Just
I
cut
can't
it
do
off."
this anymore."
How does none of us mention Dave Dravecki
Dave
as well?
Dravecki,
From
100%.
last week also, incredibly inspiring guy.
The cool thing about Dana too is game 1 couldn't get the bat on the ball at all. Couldn't make contact. Didn't make contact by game 2, game 3, game 4, game 5. Hitting the ball with authority to the other side. It was really
cool to see that.
Anytime.
You went the other way. You hit the ball in the first games, then by game 3, I think you didn't make contact at all.
And then 4, I did well, and then 5, I didn't do so well again. It was really a roller coaster camp for me. I'm making strides to have a much better camp next year.
Let's go to Don. Welcome to the Tier 1 Topic Wheel. Good morning, Don.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good,
buddy.
All right, Paulie's spinning the wheel. Let's see what question comes up for us here.
One more click.
One little click.
Oh, this is weird. Maybe a little philosophical. If you could be any season, what would you be?
This reminds me, I went to an interview one time, a job interview.
This
and
sounds like a
they
job interview
panicked.
question.
They had me panic. They said, "What musical instrument are you?" And I was like, I'm not. I'm a human being. I just want to sell your product." I was, guitar? Why? Well, I'm so complex. I didn't know what to say. I felt like a moron. I don't know how to answer this. Spring, baseball, I guess.
Spring.
Let me answer.
Yeah,
Spring.
go ahead, Don. What's your
yours?
answer?
So, any season?
Any season.
What season would
What
you
season
be?
would you be?
Of course, summer.
Summer, okay. And why?
Because it's beautiful here in the summertime, and that's when the fish bite. And I'm a big ocean fisherman.
All right, now question. Now, Ben says that fishing is all luck. Don, what? Let him have it.
All right, Ben. Come on out with me, buddy. We'll see how lucky you are.
Not very, I
Not
promise
very.
you. I know I'm not very lucky when it comes to fishing.
Now, he's saying, Don, if he went out by himself, he wouldn't catch anything. But you're saying if he went out with you, he would. He'd have a much better chance, right? And it's because of your skill. Yeah.
Well, of course, I would hook one and give it to him
Well,
so
what
he could have it.
What makes
Can you see them under there? Like, how do you know?
What makes a good fisherman?
I mean, do you have like the technology? I know people like have radar now in their boats, and
It's all electronics, guys. It's all electronics.
So it takes some of the luck out of it. Yeah, take some of the luck out of it.
Well, not really. You still have to find them, guys. You still
true.
have to find them. So.
Cheating.
Oh no, it's not cheating. Oh no, this guy. I'm done. I apologize.
I'm a fishing purist, as you know.
It's not cheating. When I was young, when I went with my dad, we'd have to put feathers behind the boat and troll around for hours and hours to find just anything that would bite. Now you just have electronics and you just look down there and you go, oh, they're here or they're not here.
That's fantastic.
And that's what happens with, social media these days. You can find where they are anytime you want.
Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Don, I don't know that you're making your point or my point.
I can't tell either. I can't.
If I could be a season, I would be vacation season.
Oh, we know. Don't we know it? Paulie?
I would be summer, because I think of summer, you're kind of laid back, relaxed, and I feel like I'm a pretty laid back person.
I feel like spring is mine for sure.
Now, if you could be a seasoning, what seasoning would you be?
Cholula.
Oh, that's more. Is that a seasoning? That's more a sauce.
All right.
Like cayenne pepper.
Cayenne pepper.
No, that's a seasoning.
I would do.
I think you're spicy like cinnamon.
I'm not really that spicy though, but I do like cinnamon. Yeah. Okay.
Cinnamon.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I'd be something a little more savory. Oh, I like vanilla.
Smells really good. Tastes like S though. Vanilla extract.
Well, yeah, you never have it plain, but vanilla is the flavor that makes everything else kind of taste better.
You are right.
You don't notice necessarily it's in there. You only notice when it's missing.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel that represents me pretty well.
Yeah, I like it.
That sometimes you notice when I'm not here.
Correct.
More than when I'm here.
Correct. It's very true. That's a really good way to put that.
So in that way, I am very vanilla.
Yeah, you're vanilla.
In a good way. Paulie, seasoning?
No, he said it. Oh, seasoning. Didn't you say it?
I don't know. Nutmeg.
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 Your wife is Meg.
She is Meg.
Nutmeg. What do you use nutmeg in? Cookies?
If you grate
I
the
used
fresh
it
nutmeg
in-
like on top of a gin fizz cocktail sometimes, or
Yes, for all my gin fizz cocktails that I'm making.
I baked an apple crisp over for Christmas over the
nutmeg.
break,
Little
and
nutmeg on
a
top.
little nutmeg in the mix. Yeah.
I heard that kids used to smoke nutmeg. Like, there are all those weird, like, oh, if you lick this frog, it'll trip you out. Smoke banana peel. I heard nutmeg was one of those. I never did it.
I heard that Coronado High School kids used to smuggle nutmeg into the country.
Yep.
Sell it at big resale prices. Are we done yet?
I
Can
think
we
so.
just turn things over to Annie and Elston
Almost
at
there.
this point?
We're almost
I think
there, buddy.
We're pretty close here to the end of the program. I still don't know exactly. I think we're 45 seconds away from the end. So let's start to wrap things up here on Ben and Woods for a Wednesday. Annie and Elston are coming up next. I know Annie's got her big San Diego Sports Awards dinner coming up, and Eric Weddle is their keynote, their Hall of Fame speaker, and he's going to join them on their show today. Now the head coach at Rancho Bernardo High School football as well. So
Awesome.
They've got that coming up. That's it for us. For Paulie Reindl, our executive producer and imaging director, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long.